But what awaited them was a pile of rubble. Bricks and stones blocked the entrance. Back with the cadets, the entire hero team was taking shelter from the rain. Suddenly, Lisa spoke to Logan, saying that she thought Bella didn't look well. Immediately, he turned to look at his teammate and saw that she indeed didn't look well at all. She was sweating profusely and shivering uncontrollably. Despite this, she insisted she was fine, just soaked from the rain. Logan, concerned, added that if she got hypothermia, she would likely be eliminated. Even though they couldn't get first place, he still wanted the hero team to score high in this stage, so he told her to hang in there a little longer. He began giving orders to his team members, telling them to build a small makeshift shelter from the rain. He assigned tasks to each person. Melissa would gather large leaves, while the other two members would find branches for support. He, in turn, thought to himself that he would flatten the ground and dig a pit. But something interrupted his train of thought. A dark purple shadow suddenly appeared. From within that shadow, 3 assassins calmly stepped out. Lisa was annoyed. Seeing Ai showing no interest and just wanting to get the job done, she complained about the rain. Ai's eyes glowed red. He advanced towards Logan, saying, "All right, Juhyuk, be a good boy and die." After speaking, he suddenly felt something was off. He looked closer and realized he had the wrong person. He turned angrily to Oria and said that the person in front of him wasn't Juhyuk. Note, the Vietnamese text names the female assassin Lisa, but also Olia in one instance. For consistency with the rest of the passage, we will assume her name in this context is Lisa. But in response, she said, "I only said we would teleport to a strong magical source. We can only find him by locating his magic." Logan was confused by this group. He then recalled the man mentioning he wanted to kill Ju Hyuk. He grew suspicious of the assassins, especially seeing the dark magic emanating from the orb. He concluded they were bad people. Lisa spoke to Ai. "Don't leave any witnesses. Clean them all up." Logan, not one to back down, began to unleash his golden light power. He shouted angrily that the cadets' competition was no place for them to wreak havoc. Ai flashed a sinister smile, a sharp dagger still in his hand. Then, in an instant, he appeared behind Logan and stabbed him in the stomach. Logan was stunned, wondering how the man had gotten behind him and stabbed him so suddenly. Ai casually belittled him, telling him to look in front. Logan was shocked and couldn't believe his eyes when he saw 2 identical men. Before he could react, the one in front stabbed him in the stomach again, explaining, "This is called a clone." It didn't take long for Logan to collapse to the ground. Lisa asked suspiciously, "Is he really dead?" But I just smirked. "I intentionally stabbed him in a way that he'll die slowly." Suddenly, a scream rang out. The startled assassins looked up and saw Bella, shield in hand, standing like a mighty protector as she looked down at Logan on the ground. Lisa turned to Ai, worried. "What do we do now? There's another witness." But I remained nonchalant. "We just take care of all of them. Just make sure you use your concealment skill properly." She seemed to understand his words and urged him to finish it quickly. As I replied, "I told you, I know." He dashed towards Bella, his dagger still clutched tightly in his hand. The scene shifts to Ju Hyuk. He was running through the labyrinth, thinking about Valhalla's great labyrinth, the home of the maze gazers. He noted that he needed the sword-swallowing tree to satisfy the condition. He was racking his brain, searching for that home, wondering if it was this place from the very beginning, as all he could see were bushes. As he continued his search, he saw Melissa holding a pile of leaves. She looked terrified. Then, in her fear, she dropped all the leaves she was holding and screamed, "Don't!" in front of her teammates. It seemed everyone else had already been taken down. She was the only one left. Seeing this, Lisa held her face in frustration. "Another witness." Even I found it annoying. They just keep popping out one after another. As he spoke, he paused. He seemed to have seen something, and he quickly realized that Ju Hyuk was standing behind Melissa. A smile spread across Lisa's face. "Our target came to us," she said joyfully. I gloated. "It seems he heard the hero team brats screaming when I stabbed them and came running.
This is getting interesting, so I won't kill him right away. Our target?
Ju Hyuk thought, his eyes scanning the ground. He saw the members of the hero team lying on the ground, blood staining the earth. After observing for a moment, he gave an order, calling Melissa Blondie. "Go and stop their bleeding first," he said. "I'll clean up these guys myself." He then added, "They're still alive. They won't die immediately." He could tell at a glance that I had probably either avoided their vital spots or had deliberately done it so they would die from blood loss. What a twisted hobby, he thought. After a moment of thought, Ju Hyuk finally spoke. His first words were, "I'm in a very bad mood right now. So answer my question. Did you assassins sneak in here? That way I can end this quietly." His words stunned I. "You damn bastard," he cursed. "Do you even know what situation you're in? You're isolated in this labyrinth," he continued. "The only entrance and exit to the labyrinth has been destroyed by us, and so have the surveillance drones." He then added smugly, "I wonder if the instructors will even notice. And even if they do, they can't get in here right away. The entrance is completely collapsed. It'll probably take them an hour to clear that rubble." Ju Hyuk, on the other hand, was unfazed. "So I just have to be stuck in the rain in this forest for an hour? And I have to find that thing too?" Confused by his calm demeanor, I said, "I don't know what you're rambling about, but it's time for you to die." With that, both he and his clone, daggers in hand, rushed forward at blinding speed. But just after his arrogant declaration, both eyes lost track of Ju Hyuk. One of them even stabbed his dagger into the ground. He was confused, wondering where Ju Hyuk had disappeared. From a blind spot, Ju Hyuk's eyes glowed red. Before I could even realize it, the hilt of Ju Hyuk's sword slammed straight into his nose, sending him flying back towards his comrades and crashing into a tree trunk. Lisa was shocked, unable to believe her eyes. She didn't even realize that Ju Hyuk was already behind her, charging with his sword drawn. He quickly leaped into the air. Even without drawing his blade, he swung his sheathed sword in a single swift motion. The sudden attack caught the two female assassins completely off guard, sending them sprawling to the ground, unable to react. Ju Hyuk quickly turned to Melissa and ordered, "Quick, use your magic to stop the bleeding for those who passed out. If you can't handle it alone," he continued, "run west immediately. You'll find the other Valhalla students in that direction." Melissa knelt and used her magic on one of her teammates, saying, "I'll do my best." However, I quickly recovered and got back on his feet, only to be stunned by the sight of his two female comrades, who had been taken down so easily. Ju Hyuk's voice cut through his surprise. "They were just your weak little sidekicks, weren't they?" Enraged, I gripped his dagger and charged at him again, but Ju Hyuk remained unfazed. "Before I beat you to a pulp, answer me," he said calmly. "You said I was the target, so who's the client?" I sneered arrogantly. "What kind of assassin do you think would reveal that? I'm no amateur." "That's strange," Ju Hyuk remarked. "Everyone I meet ends up spilling everything." I began to feel a little anxious. He had been caught off guard just a moment ago, but this time he resolved to attack with only his clone. But somehow, miraculously, Ju Hyuk still dodged both eyes with fluid ease. How did he avoid that? I thought. It was an attack from a clone, so there should have been absolutely no shadow. "Why do you keep sneak attacking from behind like a coward?" Ju Hyuk asked, then launched his own counterattack. He once again slammed his sword straight into Ai's face. This time, Ai didn't collapse immediately like before, but he was still staggered by the unexpectedly powerful blow. After the hit, Ju Hyuk started talking to him again. "Hey, baldhead," he said. "I'll ask one last time. Are you still not going to reveal the client?" Even though Ju Hyuk was right in front of him and he had no time to defend himself, I still had enough strength to yell, "Do you look down on assassins that much?" Ju Hyuk showed no sign of backing down. "Then I'll just have to beat it out of you," he said, raising his sword again. He unleashed a strike with such immense power that it created a shockwave, flattening the surrounding trees and sending Ai flying once more. As the situation escalated, the instructors finally cleared the rubble and made their way into the labyrinth. Seeing the injured students, they couldn't hide their distress. Jack immediately noticed Logan, who seemed to be the most seriously injured. Logan told his instructor, "It's a little hard to move my body, but it's nothing major." Sang-chun asked, "What happened here?" Logan recalled the events and reported, "We were ambushed by villains. It was a group of 3, 1 man and 2 women. Sang-chun immediately guessed it was the group known as Samsan. "Where are they now?" he asked. Logan pointed forward. The instructors all looked in that direction. Before them, Lisa was lying unconscious on the ground, while an exhausted Ai was sitting in a corner, bleeding profusely. "Ju Hyuk took care of all of them," Logan said. Sang-chun was astonished. "Ju Hyuk has reached this level? The ground all around the villains is completely dented." Logan continued, "While I was unconscious, I vaguely saw Ju Hyuk fighting, and it was truly incredible. He completely overwhelmed the villains that I couldn't even touch." Logan then turned to Melissa and said, "When Ju Hyuk fought them, he wasn't even using half of his real strength." Logan thought to himself, "I always thought I was strong for a high school student. It seems I've been too arrogant all this time." Jack encouraged his student, "Cheer up. Ju Hyuk is just an anomaly." Suddenly, Sang-chun turned to Melissa in alarm. "You clearly said it was a group of 3. Where's the last one?" "Ju Hyuk dragged her away," Melissa said fearfully. Just as she finished, Ju Hyuk's voice called out, "Right here." He suddenly appeared, dragging Olia with him. "She's already confessed everything," he added. "Who was behind it and what their purpose was." Seeing his student, Sang-chun immediately asked, "Are you all right?" "No problem at all," Ju Hyuk replied. Sang-chun breathed a sigh of relief. "Good. Everything's settled. We'll discuss the details when we get back to the academy." He then gave orders. "Instructors, please take the injured students to the infirmary. Valhalla students, find Baekryon's team and inform them that the inter-school competition is over." The scene shifts to the Valhalla dormitory. Ju Hyuk stepped out after drying his hair. Not even a second later, he collapsed onto his bed. "Today was exhausting," he muttered to himself. "Is it because I did too much?" He reasoned that it was probably because he had used his magical power to attack when capturing the villains. Then he affirmed his own thought. "It's also possible that my mana pool has increased, so I just wanted to use it." Still, the hard work paid off, he thought. Suddenly, a screen lit up with a notification. "You have satisfied the condition. Bring the gem from the home of Marie Gazzarona." He pulled a sparkling blue gem from his pocket. A satisfied smile spread across his face. That was a close call, he thought, but I managed to do it in the end. He began to recall what happened that afternoon. Back then, before Olia had a chance to recover, he had forced her to stand up. He asked her gently, "What's your ability?" He then began to deduce, "I don't know where you're from, but talking about targets and all that, you must be an assassination group." He continued, his deductions uncannily accurate, ignoring her stunned expression. "In that case, a team usually has a fighter, a secondary fighter, and a support member in the rear. In a group of 3, the one in the back is likely the support. So your ability probably isn't related to direct assassination. In the end, what is your ability?" Naturally, she wasn't going to reveal it so easily. A magical aura suddenly flared up around her. But what she didn't expect was that Ju Hyuk could effortlessly suppress it. As she reeled in shock, thinking, how could he stop a spatial disruption, he had already figured out her ability. It's creating a subspace and moving within it. "By observing," he finished, then stepped forward confidently. "Use this ability to help me with something," he told her. "I'm looking for an item. If everything goes smoothly, there won't be any trouble." The flashback ends. He thought back, realizing that thanks to her spatial teleportation ability, he had found the gem within the time limit. Beiche's voice began to nag him. "You said if things went smoothly, there wouldn't be any trouble, but didn't you end up knocking her out?" Ju Hyuk replied nonchalantly,
That's because I asked her what organization she belonged to and who the two clients were, but she kept her mouth shut. That's why I had to hit her. If she had just confessed everything, nothing would have happened. Though he said that, he already knew who they were. The group of 3 were assassins called Samson from the villain organization Ixin-cha, and the client was Jock Dio. He considered leaking the information about the attack to the media like last time, but if he acted rashly again, he wondered how many stitches the head of House Venchi would need. However, he breathed a sigh of relief. At least he'd gotten the orb. Now, on to the next mission. The screen lit up with his next quest. Mission: confront your lost memories through deep sleep. He was puzzled by the new mission, thinking with a hint of scorn that it seemed simple. All he had to do was sleep. Baich added that he thought so too, hoping that if Ju Hyuk found his memories, some of Baich's own might also be restored, as a notification window had appeared on his side as well. Well then, I just have to go to sleep, Ju Hyuk thought, and turned off the lights. But even as he thought that, with the lights off and the gem lying beside him, he still lay with his hands behind his head, thinking. He pondered the mission. As far as he knew, he wasn't missing any memories. Finally, he closed his eyes. Whatever, he thought. Let's just go and see what appears in my dream. In the dream, he saw a structure slowly collapsing. He was in his past life as Hua In. Suddenly, a brick was falling toward his head, but strangely, it shattered into 3 pieces before it could hit him. Then, someone's body appeared before him. It seemed this person was already dead. Suddenly, a stranger appeared before him. The figure was a black shadow with only 2 glowing red eyes. It slowly advanced toward him. I will remember your name clearly, the shadow said, and the names of those in the world you protect. Farewell. Then it gradually vanished in a flash of red light. Startled, Ju Hyuk abruptly woke up. He questioned if what he had just seen had really happened. Was that his lost memory? He immediately asked Baich if any memories had appeared for him, but Baich replied disappointedly, Nothing, only that I think I used to be a tiger. Everything seemed strange to Ju Hyuk. His mind was spinning and more confused than ever. It seems I was a tiger in a past life, Baich repeated. Ju Hyuk imagined he would have been very cute, but Baich immediately refuted the thought. Do you remember anything else? Ju Hyuk asked. Nothing special, Baich replied. Ju Hyuk started to feel that something was odd. Baich hadn't seen that thing which had attacked him in the dream. He probed further. Do you remember anything about a name? Or know anything that carries a name? But Baich just said he wasn't sure. Ju Hyuk was annoyed. In the end, all he had learned were a few trivial memories that were of no use. Carrying a name? What does that even mean? It's too vague. Suddenly, another notification appeared on the screen. Location: office in the Ahala Royal Palace. The secret room of Alip Gazani. Find the truth about it. Another new mission. This time it was at the Ahala Royal Palace. Find the truth? He mused. Is there some secret hidden there? He decided that after class today he would have to ask Lilia about the Ahala Royal Palace. The scene shifts to the physical training room at Valhalla. Cook was lifting weights when he heard someone call his name. It was Sojun. What are you doing here? He asked her. She said shyly, You're probably here for the same reason I am. She admitted, Even though it's a huge blow to my pride, I want to be trained by Ju Hyuk. I'm different from you, Cook immediately denied. I always come here to train. This has nothing to do with Ju Hyuk. He then started to deduce, The reason you want Ju Hyuk to teach you is because you lost to Ajin, right? Though she didn't want to admit it, she had to tell the truth. With that, she began to recall her match against Ajin. In that fight, she had been the one to attack first, but Ajin's counterattack was just as powerful. Sojun maintained her advantage and swung her sword, slashing at Ajin, but somehow Ajin still managed to dodge. On the contrary, Ajin swung her own sword upwards and split Sojun's sword aura in 2. This made Sojun incredibly frustrated, and she decided to unleash another powerful strike. But Ajin refused to lose.
her blade parrying all of Sojun's slashes. In a fit of anger, Sojun decided to simultaneously launch sword attacks from 3 different directions. But before she could act, Ajin had already appeared right in front of her, giving her no time to react. Seeing an opening, Ajin swung her sword horizontally across Sojun's chest, causing her to lose her balance, drop her sword, and fall to the floor. In the end, Ajin had won. Back in the present, Sojun told Kook, "Ajin has gotten much stronger since the entrance ceremony, and I think it's all thanks to Ju Hyuk." She glanced over at Ajin and continued, "Although I've constantly trained my magical power and swordsmanship diligently, I've never been guided in swordsmanship by anyone outside my family, or done weight training to increase my physical strength like Ajin." Kook seemed a little annoyed. He had been listening to her ramble on for a while now. He finally spoke up. "Why are you telling me this? Why don't you just go ask Ju Hyuk yourself?" Sojun hesitated, thinking to herself that she couldn't just have a pointless conversation with him like last time. Even if it was a bit humiliating, she had to ask Ju Hyuk properly today. Without further thought, she walked over to Ju Hyuk and initiated the conversation. "Rude girl," Ju Hyuk said nonchalantly. "What is it?" Though his words stung, she swallowed her pride and asked him directly, "You're mentoring Ajin, aren't you? I want you to teach me too." But before she could finish her sentence, Sang-chun walked in looking for Ju Hyuk, his voice cutting her off. It seemed Ju Hyuk hadn't really heard what she said, as his attention was now focused on the instructor. "I still have a few more exercises to do," Ju Hyuk said. "But what's so important that you came looking for me, instructor?" Sang-chun didn't seem to be in a rush. He told Ju Hyuk to finish up and come see him after showering. "There's someone who desperately wants to see you," he added. "That person is at their wits' end, and if they can't meet you now, there won't be another chance." Ju Hyuk was skeptical for a moment, but agreed. He left Sojun standing there, bewildered and unable to comprehend what was happening. She felt a surge of bitterness, thinking her bad luck had struck again, leaving her behind. It was so embarrassing. But contrary to her thoughts, Ju Hyuk suddenly spoke to her. He still called her rude girl, but said, "If you want my guidance, ask Ajin for the training regimen I gave her and follow that. Furthermore," he continued, "if you do well, I'll look favorably on you and might consider teaching you more myself." Unbeknownst to them, Ajin had overheard the entire conversation. She chimed in, "I'll explain everything to you," and then also called her rude girl. "Don't call me that!" Sojun yelled, infuriated. After showering, Ju Hyuk followed Sang-chun. On the way, he casually asked, "Who is this person I'm about to meet? You said if I don't meet them now, there won't be another chance." "If you think about it carefully, there's only one person it could be," Sang-chun replied, "and they're waiting for you in the dojo." A thought flashed through Ju Hyuk's mind. Could it be? Before he could finish the thought, Sang-chun suddenly opened the door. The person inside was none other than Jock Dio, just as Ju Hyuk had suspected. Strangely, Jock Dio immediately fell to his knees at Ju Hyuk's feet, begging for help. "Please," he pleaded, prostrating himself before Ju Hyuk. "Please, save me." Ju Hyuk didn't answer him right away. Instead, he nonchalantly turned to the instructor and asked, "What's wrong with this guy?" "Are you pretending not to know?" Sang-chun said. He continued, "I found out that he made a deal with that group, with the assassins." Jock Dio's face turned pale, his dry lips trembling as if he wanted to say something but couldn't form the words. Sweat poured down his temples, soaking the roots of his hair. His vacant eyes darted back and forth as if fear had choked both his breath and his thoughts. Sang-chun, his own breathing not yet steady, turned to Ju Hyuk. His eyes were sharp and his gaze severe, but his voice was ready, firm, and would not be interrupted. "Including the most recent suspicions of first-degree murder, he is the mastermind behind a total of 2 murder plots. This man hired people to assassinate you. I don't know how, but the media has discovered it. They now have all the information on him and the mastermind behind the attack at Valhalla." Ju Hyuk remained unfazed, his expression calm, as if none of this concerned him. His eyes were placid, with a hint of amusement hidden deep within, because the one who had leaked everything to the press was him. Ju Hyuk gave a slight shrug, his expression of indifference unchanged. He casually slipped his hands into his pockets and slowly turned to his instructor, his tone level, as if the matter wasn't worth his concern. This guy clearly has the protection of House Venchi. The head of the family will surely come and get him, so why is he asking me for help? Sang-chun closed his eyes, weary. There was an official announcement from House Venchi earlier. They have decided to disown Jokdio. At these words, Jokdio collapsed completely, his knees going numb on the cold floor. He trembled uncontrollably, his hands clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. Sweat beaded on his forehead, dripping heavily onto the ground. His eyes were wide with panic and despair, as if he had been thrown into a bottomless abyss with no escape. His lips moved, but no sound came out, his throat constricted by the pain seizing his heart. Ignoring him, Sang-chun continued, "It's not just him. Everyone involved in this incident, including his father, will be cut off." Hearing this, Ju-hyuk simply nodded, showing he understood. Sang-chun added, "The difference is, it seems House Venchi isn't making any new moves." Ju-hyuk seemed to grasp the situation. So, without the family's protection, he's about to be thrown in prison. He turned to Jokdio. "Is that why you want my help?" Jokdio, his head bowed, suddenly screamed, "Give me another chance! This whole thing got blown out of proportion because of your testimony. So please, just make something up!" He wailed, acting as if he were the victim. Ju-hyuk scratched his ear, looking puzzled, and then flatly refused. "I don't feel like it." At that, Jokdio, who had been kneeling, scrambled to his feet. "Is it because I haven't apologized yet?" The next moment, he was bowing frantically. "I'm sorry," he cried, tears and snot streaming down his face. "I'll never appear before you again." "I don't need your apology," Ju-hyuk said bluntly. Under Sang-chun's watchful gaze, Jokdio asked desperately, "I can't apologize. Then, do you need money?" Hearing this, Sang-chun's own anger flared, and he gritted his teeth, but he decided not to interfere in their business. "I don't need money," Ju-hyuk said flatly, which seemed to drive Jokdio into a greater frenzy. With no other options, Jokdio grabbed Julia's arm, dragging her in front of Ju-hyuk. "I'll give her to you," he declared. He emphasized, "She's a descendant of the British royal family. If you have her, your status will surely rise." Ju-hyuk didn't agree. "Is she a piece of merchandise?" he asked sarcastically. Hearing this, Jokdio let out a sinister smile. "Right now she's my property," he said. He grabbed her by the hair. "Look at her neck." Julia fearfully tilted her head back. On her neck was a glowing spell formula. It was proof that she belonged to him. "Shameless," he boasted. "If you want her, I'll perform the transfer spell." Sang-chun silently recognized it. A limitation spell. An imprint created by magical power. It was a taming spell that made it impossible for the target to disobey their master. A curse that a normal contractor could not undo. He looked at Jokdio with contempt. How dare this bastard use it on a human? After observing for a long moment, Ju-hyuk finally spoke. "In the past," he said, "there have been people just like him. People who, living lives of too much comfort, cast limitation spells on the innocent." With that, he placed his hand on Julia and began to cast a spell. The characters on her neck started to flow, and then vanished. The limitation spell had been lifted. Both she and Jokdio were utterly astonished by this. After finishing the spell, Ju-hyuk turned to Sang-chun. "Can I punch Jokdio?" he asked. "Just once." But contrary to his wish, Sang-chun refused. "Do you think a Valhalla instructor like me would let his students get into a fight?" he said. However, he continued, "If it's a criminal, that's a different story. Besides, Valhalla doesn't much care for the members of House Venchi. So, go right ahead. I can handle it." At these words, Jokdio's face turned pale again, his anxiety unconcealed. Ju-hyuk placed a hand on his shoulder. "Did you hear that?" he asked, then warned, "Shut your mouth or you'll lose your teeth." Before Jokdio could react, Ju-hyuk unleashed a powerful punch, sending him flying. His head slammed hard against the ground. Out of the office, Ju-hyuk was walking alone across the school grounds when Baich spoke.
"I thought you were going to kill Jokdio," he said. "It's not the first time you've been that angry since you were reincarnated." Ju-hyuk thought to himself, if this were 300 years ago, I would have crushed his head. He had once had a disciple who was sold into slavery because of that same limitation spell, and remembering the situation made him furious. "I've been through something like that before," he said aloud. Hearing this, Baich couldn't hide his surprise. "Wait, does that mean you were once a slave too?" He began to deduce. Suddenly, a voice cut Baich off. It was Julia. She was panting, having run to catch up with him. "I was so shocked back then," she said, "that I couldn't thank you properly." With that, she bowed deeply. "Thank you." Ju-hyuk scratched his head. "You don't need to thank me," he said. "From now on, you don't have to worry about anything. Just live freely." Hearing those words, tears began to stream down her cheeks. "Yes," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Ju-hyuk then walked away. The next day, after school, Ju-hyuk met Lilia at a cafe in Valhalla to ask about the Ahala Palace. She just coldly replied, "It's in China." Lilia scooped a spoonful of ice cream into her mouth. "The Ahala Royal Palace is in China," she repeated, pausing for a moment before continuing. "More specifically, it's a labyrinth owned by the Chinese White Lotus Society." "The White Lotus Society?" Ju-hyuk asked. "Isn't that the organization hosting the inter-school competition?" Lilia nodded slightly. "Exactly." Ju-hyuk picked up his glass of soda, deep in thought. "A labyrinth owned by the White Lotus Society? I heard that recently. Unlike in the past, they've strictly forbidden others from entering their labyrinth." He found it strange. But why would a labyrinth have an owner? In the past, even dogs and cows could wander into labyrinths without any problem. His gaze suddenly sharpened. If I wanted to, I could easily destroy it, but it would be inconvenient since it belongs to an academy. "Is there any way to get in?" Ju-hyuk asked. Lilia seemed a bit surprised by the question. She held her face and sighed. "Into the Ahala Royal Palace? I understand it's open to the students of the White Lotus Society, but you'd need to hurry. In any case, with this much time..." Lilia suddenly clapped a hand over her mouth. "What is it?" Ju-hyuk asked, puzzled by her sudden action. Lilia was worried she had accidentally let something slip. "I've said too much," she said hastily. "By the way, are you just going to sit there and listen? Give me some information in return." Ju-hyuk was still confused about what she was talking about. Lilia held up 3 fingers, her eyes sparkling. "Tell me 3 pieces of news, and I'll let you off the hook." Ju-hyuk stood up nonchalantly. "Thanks for the coffee. I'm leaving." "Ah, wait." Lilia hurriedly tried to stop him. "All right, I'll tell you just this one thing," she relented. "Listen, and then decide." Ju-hyuk obediently returned to his seat. "Okay, I'm listening." His action made Lilia breathe a sigh of relief. She reluctantly covered her mouth and whispered, "This is a secret. The Ahala Royal Palace has been chosen as one of the venues for the World Tournament in the 2nd semester." Ju-hyuk asked skeptically, "Are you sure that's a secret? Don't all the instructors know?" "No," Lilia said with a firm tone. "Even the instructors don't have this information." "Then how do you know?" Ju-hyuk pressed. Lilia crossed her arms confidently. "Let's just say I have sources that only I know about." "Is the World Tournament similar to the inter-school competition?" Ju-hyuk asked. "Yes." Lilia nodded. She slowly explained, "While the competition in Korea is only for students from Korea, China, and the US, the World Tournament is like the Olympics, where academies from all over the world gather to compete." After hearing this, Ju-hyuk sat in contemplation for a moment. In other words, it's an expanded, even more unpredictable version of the inter-school competition. And it's in the 2nd semester. There's still quite a bit of time. He looked at Lilia again. "Is there a way to get in there sooner?" Lilia, who was eating her ice cream, was startled by the question. "Huh?" She rested her chin on her hand, thinking. "I don't know. I don't have any connections with the White Lotus Society. Let's see. After a moment, she spoke up. I can't guarantee this, but it's probably feasible. She held up a finger. But I need you to help me with something. Ju Hyuk's face showed a hint of annoyance. What now? Come with me to the Global Monster Research Organization, Lilia explained. It's just for one day, so don't worry about it. Very quickly, the two arrived in North London, Tottenham, at the Global Monster Research Organization. Realizing he'd been tricked, Ju Hyuk yelled angrily, Just one day? What the hell? We flew all the way to London. Beside him, Lilia laughed cheerfully. Well, we got here in a single day, didn't we? She declared, her eyes shining with glee. Besides, I've been given permission to be here all week. They even gave me Monday off, so let's have some fun. You're abusing your authority, Ju Hyuk deadpanned. Then he asked, So, what do you want to do? At that moment, Ju Hyuk stood with his sword, facing a wild boar. Outside, 3 people were observing and studying him. Ju Hyuk calmly stared down the beast. He recalled Lilia's words. It's not much. I just need you to help me make headlines. The infamous monster hunter, Ju Hyuk, faces a challenge at the Global Monster Research Organization. Ju Hyuk coldly pierced straight through the boar's head. Before it could even squeal, it was taken down by the system. Outside, a voice confirmed. Swift bore verification complete. Preparing the stone golem. Ju Hyuk let out an annoyed sigh. There's still more? An hour later, he was finally sprawled out on a sofa, complaining. What a hassle. Why did you ask me to do so much? He stared at her. I thought the original plan was just to defeat 3 monsters. Why did we have to verify 10 of them? Lilia immediately avoided his gaze and stammered. I have no idea how that happened. Putting that aside, Ju Hyuk said, still puzzled. Why is the atmosphere here so strange? The moment we walked in, everyone started staring. Then they began to snicker and act rudely towards us. Do you have some kind of conflict with this place? Lilia took a sip of her drink and explained. It's because they're resentful. An article suddenly appeared that directly contradicted the monster response strategies that have been in place for decades. Even so, Ju Hyuk countered. Isn't their verification method outdated? All I did was slash at a target with a sword, and it was over. That's because it's the safest and most traditional method at this organization, Lilia explained. If they needed to verify things that way, wouldn't it have been better for someone else in the organization to do it? Ju Hyuk said, dissatisfied. Lilia's expression suddenly turned serious. I don't want to let them do it. They're just a bunch of conservative old geezers. The articles on monster response tactics are a rational strategy to raise one's standing and power. Today's intellectual society is a place where people secure their own positions by ganging up and playing games with each other. Truly despicable people, Ju Hyuk remarked. But even so, do you really need to keep writing articles? Lilia calmly took a sip. An article is just a piece of paper that hasn't been recognized by society yet. It doesn't matter how terrible society is. What's more important to me is having a correct strategy to deal with monsters. For that purpose, I can endure their cold stares. Ju Hyuk nodded slightly. I understand. He then reminded her, All right. I think I've helped you enough. Now it's your turn to help me. Oh, of course. She quickly agreed. She straightened up. It's a good thing we came here. She's here too, the head of the White Lotus Society. She paused for a moment, then continued. I heard she frequently visits the organization. I think she dropped by earlier to observe the verification process. Really? Ju Hyuk asked, a hint of suspicion in his voice. He quickly stood up. Good. I've identified my target. I want to talk to her before it's too late. Just then, a doorbell rang, breaking the atmosphere. From outside, a gentle female voice called out, Excuse me, is Cadet Kim Ju Hyuk here? May I speak with you for a moment? A woman's voice. Ju Hyuk thought to himself, then called out, Yes, please come in. Thank you, the woman said, smiling as she entered. She had platinum blonde hair and a graceful demeanor. She quickly introduced herself. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Seol Yoon, the head of the White Lotus Society. Ah, yes. I'm Kim Ju Hyuk. he replied. Is there something you need? She hesitated for a moment before making her request. To be honest, I came here to ask you for a favor. Could you please help me with someone? Sensing they needed privacy, Lilia picked up her drink to slip away. This sounds serious. I'll be going then. Yes, Ju-hyuk nodded slightly. Once she was out the door, Ju-hyuk asked, What do you mean? Please be more specific. Very well, Seol-yun began. Although I currently hold the position of head of the White Lotus Society, I am, in essence, a member of the Seol clan. We were the first family to settle in China after the Age of Destruction. Thanks to that, we were able to raise our status, establish the White Lotus Academy, and train generations of outstanding contractors. She paused for a moment. Coincidentally, within our family, there is a young talent. You could even call her a reincarnated prodigy. At the age of 13, she could already defeat mid-level contractors. She even defeated her older siblings and members of our family's Seol society. Even I, the leader of the Seol clan, fell at her feet. Eventually, perhaps because she thought there was nothing left to learn from the outside world, she locked herself away in the Seol clan's training room, the White Lotus Palace, and has never come out since. Ju-hyuk immediately understood the situation. So, I have to knock some sense into this arrogant person? That is correct, Seol-yun nodded. I don't mind, Ju-hyuk said. But there's something I don't understand. He asked pointedly, If you just need to teach this kid a lesson, aren't there many people stronger than me? And speaking of magical power, Ju-hyuk gestured toward Sol-yun. You, the head of the White Lotus Society, aren't weak in the slightest. Sol-yun smiled lightly. You have a good eye, Kim Ju-hyuk. I've concealed this power, yet you still noticed. She decided to be direct. There are 2 reasons. First, she demands that all fights be based purely on physical strength. Second, she is also 17 years old, the same age as you, Cadet Kim Ju-hyuk. Seol-yun had been observing Ju-hyuk for a while, so she stated with conviction, Looking at your performance in recent battles, it's clear that you, Kim Ju-hyuk, possess immense physical strength. If a cadet like you were to defeat this arrogant girl who believes she is stronger than any other 17-year-old, her pride will be utterly shattered. Her voice was filled with sincerity as she said, That is why I've come to ask this of you. If you hadn't come here, Cadet Kim Ju-hyuk, I would have eventually sought you out myself. Ju-hyuk agreed instantly. All right, he said, but then added cautiously, But it's not free, is it? Of course, Seol-yun replied nonchalantly. Even though I may only be the head of the White Lotus Society in name, how could I hire you without offering compensation? Seol-yun then proposed, Therefore, I will offer a... Before she could finish, Ju-hyuk held up a hand, declining. I don't need money. He stated his own condition. There's a place I want to go. Can you grant me access? What? Seol-yun asked, surprised. Very quickly, the 2 arrived in China, at the headquarters of the White Lotus Society. Ju-hyuk was still rather astonished by the process. So this is the White Lotus Society. I didn't expect to get here on the same day, on a private jet no less. Seol-yun smiled. You said you had time until Monday, didn't you? Isn't it better to get this over with quickly? That's right, Ju-hyuk agreed. Her tone suddenly became serious. And about your compensation, it's access to the Ahala Royal Palace, correct? Yes, Ju-hyuk nodded. All right, Sol-yun said confidently. If it's a labyrinth that we manage, that's not difficult. Shall we enter the White Lotus Society now? Let's go, Ju-hyuk agreed immediately. And so, Ju-hyuk followed Sol-yun inside. As they walked straight to the training room, Ju-hyuk suddenly spoke up. I want to ask something. What is it? Sol-yun asked with a pleasant smile. During the recent inter-school competition, he said as they walked, I felt that the White Lotus Society showed no determination at all. Is the person I'm about to meet the culprit? You could say that, Seol-yun replied. After facing that child, many realized their own limits and left the White Lotus Society, both students and instructors. Ju-hyuk listened intently, a look of anticipation on his face. So my main goal right now is to break that child's arrogance. Once this is over, the Seol clan... No, the entire White Lotus Society will return to its rightful place. All right, I get it, Ju-hyuk said, scratching his head. I hope she can put up a decent fight. At that moment, Sol-yoon led him to a magic circle. We're almost there, she explained carefully. As soon as you step into this magic circle, you will be transported to the White Lotus Palace, the Seol clan's secret training room. The child is waiting there. Ju-hyuk stepped cautiously onto the circle. Ah, okay. Like this? Yes, Sol-yoon nodded. Before he left, he turned and asked, Ah, I still haven't asked for her name. Sol-yoon slowly said, Her name is Yeon-rang. The wolf-like girl sat sprawled arrogantly, waiting. As soon as she saw Ju-hyuk, Yeon-rang shouted, Who are you? Did the Seol clan send you here to kick me out? I'm not going anywhere. Get lost. Ju-hyuk smirked. My. Telling someone you've just met to get lost? Quick as a flash, he shot toward Yeon-rang. That's just plain insolent. Yeon-rang effortlessly caught Ju-hyuk's punch. Oh? Ju-hyuk was quite surprised by her ability. Yeon-rang channeled energy into her hand and struck Ju-hyuk's chest with all her might. Fool, she said arrogantly. You can't even recognize your opponent's capabilities right in front of you? I can't believe you'd throw such a reckless punch. Are you talking about yourself? Ju-hyuk retorted with a smirk, completely unharmed. Yeon-rang's eyes widened in disbelief. Before she could understand, Ju-hyuk had grabbed her wrist. He locked one of her arms and threw a punch. Yeon-rang tilted her head to dodge, and Ju-hyuk's fist slammed into her wrist instead. The blow was so powerful it made her grit her teeth in shock. Ju-hyuk threw another punch. This time, she managed to dodge it. Who are you? Yeon-rang asked, clutching her pained wrist. What was that just now? It seems you have no idea what a 17-year-old cadet is truly capable of, Ju-hyuk declared. Yeon-rang leaped high into the air, aiming a kick at him. Ju-hyuk nimbly dodged to the side. She followed up with a hand strike, but he easily evaded that as well. Yeon-rang gritted her teeth in frustration. Why can't I hit him? Not even once. She began to calculate her opponent's moves. Unlike before, he's going to attack me now. I have to fall back. Seeing this, Ju-hyuk closed the distance in an instant, his face right next to hers. Where do you think you're going? He whispered. He thrust his palm into Yeon-rang's stomach. See? He thought arrogantly. Yeon-rang clutched her stomach in pain. She knew she couldn't dodge that last blow, Ju-hyuk mused, so she retreated to lessen the impact of the punch. He smiled, having seen through Yeon-rang's ability. That's enough. I figured it out the moment I intentionally took that first punch. Even among my disciples 300 years ago, almost no one at this age could move like that. Yeon-rang frowned, thinking, a 17-year-old high school student? He's the same age as me? But she still smiled confidently. No matter. I'm much stronger than people far older than him. She told herself, I'll just hit harder with my next punches. Seeing her smile, Ju-hyuk understood her intent. It seems that last move wasn't enough to teach her a lesson. Outside, Seol-yoon was watching the fight on a surveillance monitor. Her assistant stammered, My mistress? Yes, assistant, what is it? Seol-yoon asked. Although I know this is a delicate subject, the assistant said hesitantly, his voice laced with doubt. Is this really all right? It was truly unavoidable that we had to invite a student from another school to the White Lotus Palace. Even if he has the upper hand now, can that cadet truly defeat Lady Yeon-rang? He paused, then continued. This may be impudent of me to say, but in truth, Mistress, you weren't defeated when you faced Lady Yeon-rang, were you? That is, in a purely physical fight that excluded attacks using magical energy. Yes, Seol-yoon suddenly said. I have lost to Yeon-rang once, and even if that match had allowed the use of magical energy, I couldn't guarantee that I would have won. This made the assistant exclaim in surprise. What? Seol-yoon slowly explained. Back then, the difference in our mana levels was almost negligible. Really? the assistant asked, still doubtful. Furthermore, that was several years ago, Seol-Yun continued. It's possible that she has now grown stronger, both physically and in magical power. Hearing this, the assistant grew even more skeptical. If that's the case, wouldn't it be even more difficult to win against her? I doubt that Cadet Kim Ju-hyuk is stronger than you are now, mistress. I'm not certain, she said. Although he's a cadet, he has defeated many infamous criminals and even secured important victories in tournaments, has he not? Still, she had faith in him. Therefore, Yeonrang won't win against him easily. She glanced at the camera and said nonchalantly, And even if she loses, it doesn't matter. Back in the fight, Yeonrang charged at Ju-hyuk. She extended her claws and unleashed her deadliest move, a pincer attack with both hands aimed at Ju-hyuk's head. But he dodged it with ease. Nice, he commented, not missing a beat. Then Yeonrang aimed a knee strike at his face. It was a fierce impact. She smirked in satisfaction. A direct hit to the head, she thought. But her expression quickly turned to one of shock. Huh? She exclaimed. She clutched her knee and screamed, Ah, my knee! Angrily she yelled, Hey, is your head made of rock or something? I wouldn't know, Ju-hyuk replied nonchalantly. You're the one who suddenly need me, so I just used my forehead to block it. Didn't you consider that my forehead might be harder than your knee? Yeonrang, though furious, was helpless. I've thrown all my attacks at him, and he's dodged or blocked every single one. I can't find a single opening. She carefully reevaluated Ju-hyuk. My pride has been severely wounded, but his physical abilities are truly superior to mine. In that case, Yeonrang asked him, You haven't used any magical power until now, right? That's right, Ju-hyuk immediately confirmed. Because you said you like to fight that way. But now I'd like to play differently, Yeonrang said, changing her request. She began to flaunt her mana. Against you, I have to give it my all if I want any hope of winning. It seems I've completely shattered her pride, Ju-hyuk thought with a smirk. Are you going to focus your magical power? He asked. As she wished, Ju-hyuk immediately displayed his own mana. Then I should show off a little too, shouldn't I? The amount of mana he radiated was even more terrifying, making Yeonrang gasp. Is that the mana of a high school student? This guy is insane, she thought in awe. Yeonrang pushed the thought aside and focused, rushing at Ju-hyuk. I don't need physical skills anymore. I have to finish him with a single punch combining my strength and magic. She clenched her fist and threw a full power punch at Ju-hyuk's face. The fist was a millimeter from his face. Got him! Yeonrang thought triumphantly. Huh? Ju-hyuk quickly leaned back, dodging the punch, which surprised Yeonrang. Playtime is over, he said, his tone suddenly serious. I'll end this now. He then delivered a decisive blow to her stomach. Gah! Yeonrang's eyes rolled back as she screamed, then she collapsed to the floor, unconscious. You damn monster! As requested. Ju-hyuk's voice echoed from the entrance. He was carrying Yeonrang. I've defeated her and brought her out. The unconscious Yeonrang was being carried as effortlessly as a gift basket. I've brought her here as you asked. You really did it, Seol-Yun said, her face a mask of astonishment. I still can't believe you defeated her, she asked with concern. Are you injured anywhere? I'm fine, Ju-hyuk replied nonchalantly. As for her, I don't know. Was it difficult? Seol-Yun asked. Ju-hyuk dropped Yeonrang onto the floor with a thud of disappointment. She's strong, but I'm a bit disappointed it ended like this. The pain woke Yeonrang up. What the hell? She groaned, rubbing her head. She opened her eyes and saw Seol-Yun in front of her. Her expression immediately turned hostile. Seol-Yun, she growled. Yeonrang, Seol-Yun said gently. It's been a long time since we've seen you out here. She then changed the subject. Well, after our talk, we should discuss your compensation. You said you wanted to enter the Ahala Royal Palace, correct? That's right. Ju-hyuk nodded slightly. I can grant you access right now. What do you think? she offered with a smile. Great. Let's do it now. Ju-hyuk agreed instantly, his excitement showing.
Yeonrang watched as he and Seol-yoon walked away.
Milady, the assistant said, we should treat your injuries first. Yeonrang ignored him, asking only, the one who defeated me, what's his name? Yes, his name is Kim Ju-hyuk, the assistant replied quickly. Kim Ju-hyuk, she murmured. She then declared with conviction, I'm telling you, he's one of the strongest people in the world.
Her eyes were filled with anticipation. And I want to fight you again. In another space, a formless creature, distinguished by its horns, emphasized 3 words. The strongest one. What is this place? Ju-hyuk complained the moment he arrived. Is this really a labyrinth? He was now in the labyrinth of the Ahala Royal Palace. He recalled Seol-yoon's warning. The Ahala Royal Palace is a special castle-like labyrinth. Just watch out for the monsters called living armor, and you can explore freely. How long can I stay here? Ju-hyuk had asked. About 5 hours, Seol-yoon had replied. If you want to stay longer, you'll have to come back tomorrow. Well, 5 hours to explore freely, Ju-hyuk said, cracking his shoulders to warm up. His gaze suddenly sharpened. So, he said coldly as a line of sword-wielding living armors charged at him. I have to take care of you guys first, huh? One of the living armors rushed forward. Ju-hyuk met it with his sword, easily slashing through its torso and causing the armor to fall apart in pieces. After wiping out all the living armors, Ju-hyuk sighed. That should be enough, he calculated, looking around. But where is that room? He wondered. I've checked over 20 rooms already. The room in the Ahala Royal Palace. Alip Ghazani's secret room, where the truth can be seen. He was getting impatient. The only room that looks like an office is completely unremarkable. Is this it? Look to your right, master. Beiche's voice interjected. The door looks a bit high class, but it seems like a normal room. Really? Ju-hyuk asked skeptically, but he opened the door anyway. Inside, he saw a painting of a man with a stern face. He scanned the room. It really does look like a normal office, he mused, confused. But is this really Alip Ghazani's? What if it belongs to someone else? No, I think this is it, Beiche said. Look below the painting. Ju-hyuk looked down. It says Alip Ghazani there, Beiche explained. How can you read that? Ju-hyuk asked. I don't know why, but I can read it, Beiche said. It's probably part of the information I've started to remember. I need to investigate carefully, Ju-hyuk determined. I have to find the secret room in here. Annoyed, he clenched his fist. But it'll take too long to search for it one by one. Smashing everything and then looking will be much faster. The entire room was obliterated by Ju-hyuk. Suddenly, he spotted a door. Is this it? He asked Beiche. Looks like it, Beiche said with certainty. He opened the door, which led down into the earth. It's pitch black down here. I can't see anything. This is getting annoying, he grumbled as he fumbled his way forward. While Ju-hyuk was getting frustrated, a notification window appeared. Condition met. Before him now was a red-haired woman wearing a mysterious witch's hat. He approached her. Where is this place? Who are you? The woman smiled. A pleasure to meet you. I will answer your questions, so why don't you have a seat? Ju-hyuk sat down in silence. Allow me to introduce myself. I am a guide, the woman began. A guide? Ju-hyuk exclaimed in surprise. Ah, my apologies. That is not my real name. It is just what people call me, she quickly explained. My name was taken. Ju-hyuk, himself a victim of a name-eating shadow, couldn't quite believe it. Wait, he asked. Your name was taken too? The guide nodded. Precisely. I thought that was all nonsense, Ju-hyuk said, now more curious. But now that you say your name was taken, I know it's real. But what does that mean? And how can a name be taken? A name holds power, the guide explained immediately. Every being is born with a name. All the actions they take, the efforts they make, and the achievements they attain, whether good or bad,
These things are represented in the most meaningful thing in their life, their name. A name adorned with glorious deeds grants immense power. That being steals those names. He absorbs the power contained within them. She paused, then asked Juhyuk, "And what happens when a person's name is stolen? I am sure you already know about it. They become a constellation." "If a person's name is stolen, they turn into a constellation?" Juhyuk asked, shocked. "Yes," the guide smiled. Her voice suddenly lowered. "However, there is one exception, and that is if you have been reincarnated here." Juhyuk realized it. "So, she knows I've been reincarnated, just like Baich." Seeing his skeptical look, the guide added, "Do you still doubt me? O human who was reincarnated and received a notification window." Even as she said it, she admitted, "I'm not certain myself. In fact, I don't even know when the notification window will appear." "You can see the notification window too?" Juhyuk asked, then his expression turned demanding. "All right, stop rambling and explain it to me. The one who sent the Tower of Destruction here. Who is he?" "His name is the Maze Lord," the guide quickly explained. "As I said, he sent the Tower of Destruction to Earth for the purpose of stealing others' names to strengthen himself." "So it was all his doing?" Juhyuk asked, annoyed at the name. "Is it not?" the guide asked, seeing his expression. "It's just as the name implies. Are you surprised?" Juhyuk didn't quite understand. "It's strange. How could an ordinary maze lord send something like the Tower of Destruction to Earth?" He thought for a long moment. Then the problem suddenly dawned on him. Something of that scale could only be done by someone on the level of... It can't be. "You've finally realized it, haven't you?" The guide smiled. She gave him the answer. "The place where you live, the place called Earth, is itself a labyrinth." "And you think I'll believe that?" Juhyuk asked, still doubtful. "The choice is yours," the guide replied nonchalantly. "But I have no reason to come all this way just to deceive you." "I see," Juhyuk finally understood. "You said he sent the Tower of Destruction to Earth to steal names, right?" The guide nodded slightly. "That is correct." She slowly explained, "If a large-scale crisis occurs on Earth, the task of stealing names becomes easier. Everyone is either busy killing monsters and saving people or taking advantage of the chaos to do evil. Therefore, not just anyone can steal another's name and make its power their own. Only the final victors can." Hearing this, Juhyuk thought to himself, "If that's true, then my disciples have probably all become constellations. At least, they reclaimed their names in the end." The thought made him furious. He leaned back, his chest tight with anger. "This is so frustrating. In the end, no matter what I do, I'm still just playing in the palm of the Maze Lord's hand." "That's not true," the guide countered. "Your reincarnation and arrival here is already a variable in his plans. Perhaps I have given the Maze Lord an opportunity." "He knows I've been reincarnated?" Juhyuk asked. "Is he the one who has been meeting us through the notification window?" "No," the guide shook her head. "You're mistaken. The one who gave you the chance to be reborn and brought the notification window to us was not the Maze Lord." "Then who was it?" Juhyuk pressed urgently. "I don't know for sure," the guide said, resting her chin on her hand. "Since he gave you the chance to be reincarnated, I assumed that person must have some connection to you." "A connection to me?" he thought. Suddenly, she began to cast a spell, summoning something. "In any case, I cannot let this opportunity pass." She materialized a ring and told Juhyuk, "Take this." "What is this? A ring?" Juhyuk asked, bewildered. The guide said succinctly, "I don't have time right now, so I can't explain everything to you. It will be the key to our counterattack against that Maze Lord." "You don't have time?" Juhyuk asked, puzzled. "You can tell me everything right here and now." "I am being pursued by the Maze Lord," the guide explained. "But it's all right. The conditions have been fully met, and you'll easily meet me again in the future." "Huh?" Juhyuk was still trying to understand. "See you in 2 days," she reminded him. "Don't lose that ring." Then, With a snap of her fingers, she sent everything back to the beginning. "What the hell?" Ju-hyuk exclaimed in anger. "Great, I'm back at the entrance." He thought about what he had learned today. Sent the Tower of Destruction to Earth to steal my name? He gritted his teeth in fury. "It's so hard just to live a good life, that damn maze lord." Ju-hyuk looked at this ring in his hand. "I don't know what this ring is, but it seems to be tracking my location. If that's the case, the mana stones left over after absorbing magic before the last Great War. This time, I'll absorb every last one to increase my power as quickly as possible." He put the ring in his pocket and walked towards the exit. Even if I'm weaker than him in terms of raw power, in terms of potential, I might be able to reach the peak faster than him. On an island in the North Pacific, a man was reading the news. The top story was about Samson, a group of elite assassins being completely defeated by a student from Valhalla, Kim Ju-hyuk. He crushed the iPad in his hand and threw it to the ground, cursing, "These fools." He was Hannibal, the guildmaster of King Dragon. Hannibal gritted his teeth. After listening to the constellation, I underestimated Kim Ju-hyuk. It turns out this brat defeated Choi Jin-gun, even though that guy also had a contract with a constellation. That's why that kid from the Venchi family asked me to take care of him. To be sure, I even assembled Samson. He held his head in his hands, frustrated. And that still wasn't enough. They even revealed they were followers of the poison god. Are these really professional assassins? Suddenly a man's voice spoke up. "I take it you're having some trouble, Sir Hannibal." The speaker was Roth, the first-ranked commander. "Roth," Hannibal said, staring at him. "I recall telling you to call before you came here." "I only came because you looked like you were suffering," Roth said, deliberately provoking him. He asked, "Is it because of Kim Ju-hyuk?" Hannibal sighed. "You could say that." "I understand," Roth said, feigning sympathy. "We've already lost one person to him." "You mean that bastard who's all over the news?" Hannibal asked. Roth nodded slightly. "Yes," he explained. "I gave him a private mission and forgot to report it to the organization. He failed, and even worse, he revealed his identity to a high school kid. I wanted to use him as an informant to get information from the Venchi family, but I was afraid he'd leak what he knew if he got caught. So I took care of him myself before he reached the prison tower." "Then can you also take care of the ones who are still out there?" Hannibal asked coldly. "If you wish," Roth replied without hesitation. "Kim Ju-hyuk," Hannibal mused, resting his chin on his hand. "With all due respect," Roth suddenly interjected, "I advise you not to touch him right now." "What?" Hannibal asked, angered by the advice. "Right now, Aegis has its eyes on him," Roth explained quickly. This information surprised Hannibal. "Aegis is after him? They're all insane, aren't they?" "Precisely," Roth confirmed. "As bad as we are, they're on a whole other level." "No one knows their motives or their goals. Even Logan's army and the followers of the One have been dealt with by them." "I've heard about that," Hannibal said, relieved. "It's a good thing you told me. But once we touch their target, we'll likely become their sworn enemies." Roth finished his thought. "In any case," Hannibal said with a serious expression, "from now on, we wait and see what happens next." At that very moment, a group of people in black cloaks was surrounding Ju-hyuk. "Who are you?" Ju-hyuk asked coldly. He couldn't resist a sarcastic remark. "You do know this is Valhalla's territory, right? Should I call you brave or just stupid?" Flashback. The head butler was taking orders from Adelia. "Yes, mistress, we are ready." "Good," Adelia said, her face an icy mask. "It took long enough." "My apologies," the man said, bowing respectfully. "We needed time to prepare carefully and to ensure that Kim Ju-hyuk was still lingering around the Valhalla area." "Why did you need a contractor with the ability to create a hidden space?" Adelia asked. "That's right," the head butler explained carefully. "We've compiled a list of contractors who can bend space. Since the people we work with directly were all selected by the Venchi family, it's impossible for information to be leaked." "You've done well," Adelia praised him. Her tone turned stern. So, have you properly prepared what I told you to? Yes, of course, the butler replied hesitantly. He slowly explained the plan. To prepare for the sanctification process, I have already arranged for a mana stone with an abundant energy source. Well done, Adelia said, very pleased. We should start moving soon. She gave an order. Head butler, you will also join the intelligence team. Once the hidden space is complete, you will take charge of leading the assassination group. I understand, he said with a bow. Still, he had a question. Mistress, is the sanctuary a preparation to summon a constellation? That is correct, Adelia nodded. Mistress, do you truly intend to do that? The head butler asked with deep suspicion. His attitude displeased Adelia. And what if I do? A terrifying energy radiated from her body, her voice full of power. Are you scared witless at the thought of facing a high school kid? That's not it at all, the butler stammered. Adelia retracted her energy and smiled. It's just a precaution. No need to worry. I understand, the butler replied. Her gaze suddenly changed. She looked at the golden control panel before her. The plague doctor asks you to explain in detail. There was a recent incident, she said, slightly annoyed. The constellation, which had been silent, suddenly reacted. That's what's bothering me. She was impatient. So, if we summon a constellation this time, I want to take this opportunity to ask it for the truth. Back to the ambush. The head butler was pondering the reason for that sudden reaction. He then shouted an order. Intelligence team! Prepare for spatial disruption! A group of people immediately placed their hands on the ground, summoning a magic circle. Ju-hyuk stood calmly with his hands in his pockets, looking around blankly. What's this? A hidden space? He wondered. He couldn't help but mock the cloaked figures. Seriously, whoever came up with the idea of ganging up on a single student is a real piece of work. Brilliant. Whose idea was it? The head of the Venchi family, perhaps? The butler was so shocked he was speechless. How did you know? He stammered. Why wouldn't I know? Ju-hyuk replied nonchalantly. He explained as he took off his backpack. Among my enemies, there are two groups that use dark magic. The other groups don't. So who else could it be but the Venchi family? He then threw his backpack to the ground. The butler sensed something was wrong and hastily gave a command. We're trapped in here too, so there's no point in hiding anymore. Summon the assassination group. Yes, sir, a subordinate replied. In a matter of seconds, a formidable squad was mobilized. The cloaked figures blocked the front while the assassins behind Ju-hyuk readied their weapons. Aren't you embarrassed? Ju-hyuk sneered. What if a flood of students shows up? It doesn't matter, the butler said, drawing his sword. We are only following the mistress's orders. Is that so? Ju-hyuk said, cracking his shoulders. I guess your mistress knows no shame. Kill him! The butler commanded fiercely. The entire group charged at Ju-hyuk. He gently flicked one of them, which was enough to make the man feel his power. He fought with a grin. Before the assassins could even touch him, he had sent them all to the ground. The entire group was sent flying. The butler didn't rush, still holding his sword, waiting for an opportunity. He moved closer to Ju-hyuk and swung his sword powerfully, but Ju-hyuk nimbly dodged it. Is that all you can do, old man? Just swing your sword? Ju-hyuk taunted. The moment he finished speaking, two assassins flew at him from behind. Their blades slammed into the ground, stunning them. While they were still dazed, Ju-hyuk delivered a kick that knocked them out for good. He stepped on one of the assassins and said confidently, You guys don't even give me a moment to breathe. Seeing Ju-hyuk let his guard down, the butler pulled out a dagger, intending to stab him from behind. He rushed at Ju-hyuk. As if he had eyes in the back of his head, Ju-hyuk easily dodged. Is this the ability of a high school student? The head butler thought, aghast. He still tried to swing his sword at him, but Ju-hyuk ducked down, evading it. Seriously, Ju-hyuk complained, annoyed. He placed his sword against the head butler's chest. Using the strength from his arm, he pushed hard into his sword. The blade acted as a conduit for his power, sending the head butler flying. The head butler's face turned pale, his eyes rolling back as his body went limp. I thought, what can a high school brat do? But I was wrong, he thought. The critical blow made him cough up blood. He now understood what Adelia had warned him about. The mistress was right. He collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Just then, Ju Hyuk saw someone approaching from a distance. "Finally decided to show yourself, huh? Head of the Venchi family." Adelia slowly approached. She looked at the fallen people around her, a hint of shock in her heart. Most of the assassination group, including the head butler, are stronger than the majority of other contractors. Unbelievable. Adelia quickly drew her sword. "I can't let this continue." She radiated her energy and declared, "Be proud, for you will witness the sacred relic of the Venchi family. Ordinary people never get such a chance." "I should be proud to see that dull knife," Ju Hyuk replied sarcastically. "The shameless head of a noble family who calls a whole crowd just to catch one high school student." "What did you just say?" Adelia was provoked. She charged forward in a rage. "You trashy bastard!" Just then, several mana stones suddenly began to glow, confusing the assassins. "What's happening?" Adelia was also bewildered. "Why are the mana stones—" Adelia's own sword began to emit a similar golden light. "Impossible," she thought, stunned. A brilliant light flashed, followed by a notification window showing only 3 dots, which then ended with a single, astonishing word: Master. The mana stones radiated a brilliant golden light, but it also seemed to freeze time for everyone. Even Adelia couldn't escape the effect of the stones. Only Ju Hyuk was left standing, still waiting for her. Though Adelia couldn't move, her mind was still conscious. What? She was aware of the situation. I can't move. Could it be that the sanctification was forcibly activated? Compared to me, who can still think, the other members are completely frozen, both physically and mentally. She looked at Ju Hyuk. But why is he completely unaffected? On the contrary, Ju Hyuk was calmly touching and admiring her gold-plated dagger. Just then, a golden notification window appeared. On it were 2 words: Master. Master? Ju Hyuk repeated, confused. At that moment, a figure gradually emerged from the golden light. A person wearing a bird-like mask stepped out of the light, looking rather comical. The person took off the mask. Before him was a girl with a strong personality who called out, "Master!" The 2 of them stared at each other, eye to eye. Flashback to their first meeting. The girl was chained by the neck in a dungeon, looking at the world with hateful eyes. Ju Hyuk, who was still Hui-in back then, looked at her and said with a smile, "Look at the eyes on this little brat. It seems you hate all humans, don't you?" She gritted her teeth and replied angrily, "Don't act like you understand me. What do you know about me?" "While I don't know everything," Hui-in said, sympathizing with her plight, "I know enough, because I too was once a slave." "What?" the girl said, stunned. Hui-in slowly recounted. "When I was young, I had no power and was kidnapped by a slave trader. Afterwards, just like you, I lived the life of a slave, bound by this very chain." He paused and asked her, "Do you want to be free?" "Didn't you just say you were a slave too?" she asked, dissatisfied. "I did." Hui-in nodded. "Then why ask such an obvious question?" she snapped, grabbing the shackle on her neck. "Because of this damned thing, I can't even dream of freedom anymore." Despairing and without hope, she tried to drive him away. "So stop provoking me and get out. I don't know how you snuck in here, but the slave trader will be here soon." "The evil of this shackle," Hui-in said with a faint smile, "is that it can only be removed by its master's own hand, or when that person dies. Unfortunately, even if its master dies, the shackle sometimes cannot be removed. In your case, it seems to be the latter." Her face was a mask of astonishment. "That bastard is dead?" she asked, immediately falling into complete despair. "Then there's no way out now. What if I told you there is?" Hui-in smiled. Before she could react, he grabbed the old shackle. He began to analyze it. "By deciphering the magic in this chain, I can reverse the spell and slowly remove it. Although this isn't my specialty, for me, Removing this shackle isn't a big deal, because only then could I end my own life as a slave." As he finished speaking, Hui In crushed the shackle with the limitation spell on her neck. The moment it broke, she was moved to tears. "It's broken. The shackle that has tormented me for so long." "Tch!" Hui In clicked his tongue and stood up. "I've removed it. The rest is up to you." He asked her, "Now that you're free, what do you want to do next? Find your family? Go home?" "I have no home or family," the girl recounted. "The slave trader killed my family and burned my home when he kidnapped me." Hui In hesitated for a moment, then said, "I'm going to travel and explore. I will crush the skulls of those bastard slave traders, those who buy and sell people, just like I did today. Do you want to come with me?" The girl was silent for a moment, thinking. Then she made her decision. "I will follow you." Hui In smiled, pleased. "Good," he said, then began to instruct her. "From now on, treat me as your master." She hesitated. Hearing her, Hui In sternly reminded her, "If you're going to call me master, you must use honorifics. Don't speak like a barbarian." "I understand, sir," she replied, still a bit unused to it. "Then let's go, barbarian," Hui In said. "Excuse me," the girl stammered. "Your name, master. What should I call you?" "Oh," Hui In replied quickly. "I am Kim Ju Hyuk." When it was the girl's turn to say her name, his memory cut off. "My name is—" Back to the present. Looking at the girl before him, he vaguely remembered. "I remember now. As I thought, she became a constellation." He thought confidently, "It's safe to say I understand this kid better than anyone." But a hint of sadness touched him. "But I can't remember her name." So when the fortune teller said that Demon King would take the names of constellations, this is what it meant. He closed his eyes, thinking, "A glitch. Well, it can't be helped. At least I still remember her nickname." "It's been a while, barbarian," he called out to her. Adelia was shocked to hear him speak so familiarly. "Barbarian? He dares to call a constellation barbarian?" Barbarian quickly approached Adelia to retrieve the dagger. Master, before we celebrate our reunion." Adelia was still bewildered. A constellation is personally touching the sacred relic. Barbarian pulled the dagger out and raised it high. She restored everyone to their normal state. Suddenly, Adelia fell unconscious, slumping to the ground. The others suffered the same fate. Barbarian turned to Ju Hyuk for his opinion. "How should I deal with these bastards? Should I kill them?" Ju Hyuk stroked his chin with a sinister smile. "No," he replied. "I have a better idea." The next day, the homeroom teacher's jaw dropped. "What?" he yelled, nearly fainting as he looked at an account with 9 zeros. "What is this? The main sponsor is the Venchi family? And even stranger, it's a staggering 5 billion won. And it's a personal sponsorship for student Kim Ju Hyuk." The more Lee Gun looked, the more something felt wrong. 5 billion won, specifically for Kim Ju Hyuk? "I assume you've seen it," Sang Chun's voice said. Lee Gun jumped, turning to the principal. "It is indeed strange," Sang Chun said, sipping his coffee. "A donation at this time. Isn't it because of the crimes they've committed against our academy?" Lee Gun offered his speculation. "We've experienced this before. Last time it was Jock Dio who sent 3 assassins to our academy." Sang Chun heard this but remained skeptical. "So they want to cover it up with a sponsorship? It's a bit illogical." He thought the sponsorship was for a different reason. When Kim Ju Hyuk was attacked by that Venchi girl, they must have sent the sponsorship to silence him. Back then, the donation was a way to protect Jock Dio's and the family's image. However, the Venchi family already drew the line by disowning Jock Dio and kicking him out. If they hadn't, they would be raising hell to get Jock Dio out of custody by now. But they didn't. He couldn't help but wonder. So my question is, what is the real reason the Venchi family sent a sponsorship to Kim Ju Hyuk? Furthermore, Lee Gun added, we still don't know if Kim Ju Hyuk will even accept the money. I think he might refuse it, seeing as he's currently cursing them out and confronting them. Well, Sang-chun said, taking a sip of coffee, I suppose asking him directly is the only way to get an answer. I understand. Lee Gun nodded. At that moment, Ju Hyuk was in the interview room. He gave a surprising answer. Yes, I'll accept it. Lee Gun's jaw dropped, thinking he had misheard. What? I mean, who would turn down 5 billion won? Ju Hyuk explained quickly. Though Lee Gun agreed, something still felt off. That's true, but... Now then, Ju Hyuk said, eager to leave. Since I've said I'll accept the sponsorship, I can go, right? Ah, wait! Lee Gun quickly stopped him. He asked for Ju Hyuk's opinion. It's not just you who received a sponsorship. Valhalla Academy also received a donation. According to Valhalla's regulations, you can move to the high-class dormitory. What do you think? I don't find my current dorm uncomfortable at all, Ju Hyuk politely declined. So you can help me move some other time. All right, Lee Gun replied, understanding. Though Ju Hyuk had left, Lee Gun sat there, stunned. What is going on? He wondered. He refused the money when the Venchi family's vice head tried to appease him last time, but he accepts it now? But then he brushed the thought aside. Well, since our academy isn't losing anything, there's no need to pay too much attention to it. Ju Hyuk walked confidently with his hands in his pockets. He thought about his meeting with Barbarian and Adelia's group. Back then, Barbarian had asked him, Should I take care of these bastards? Shall I kill them, master? An idea had suddenly sparked in Ju Hyuk's mind. No, he told her. Wake her up. I have a better idea. Yes, master. She had obeyed. Adelia trembled on her knees. Ju Hyuk approached her. Hey. Yes? Adelia replied, startled. I think the constellation you summoned will overlook anything I do to you people, Ju Hyuk said with a smirk. So, what do you think I should do now? Initially, I made the Venchi family serve her. Barbarian spoke up. So, master, you can do whatever you want with them. I know. Ju Hyuk smiled. Excuse me, Adelia said, still not understanding the situation. The Guardian constellation. Could it be that the motto, all for one, which has been passed down through generations in my family, you're now using that motto to command me? Hearing this, Barbarian flew into a rage. Of course! That motto now means you all serve my master. Are you only just realizing that now? So this student, this person is really your master, Guardian Constellation? Adelia asked hesitantly. Yes, Barbarian replied, putting on her mask. Though his appearance has changed, his mana is definitely my master's. I think you've asked enough, Ju Hyuk interrupted. Shouldn't you be more worried about yourself right now? Honestly, he had originally had a different plan. When I think about how much these bastards have annoyed me, killing them isn't even enough. However, the level and power of these people are the real deal. But he had changed his mind and thought of a more beneficial way. To live comfortably, I need to make full use of these people to work for me instead of killing them. However, managing them myself would be a bit difficult. Hey, Ju Hyuk asked Adelia, are you still doing a good job managing the family? Pardon me, Adelia replied cautiously. She slowly recounted. Although I am only the vice head, it has been 4 years since I took over leadership of the family. We have managed to regain our family's declining power and become the strongest family in Britain in 4 years. Is that so? Ju Hyuk asked, surprised. Then, without hesitation, he told her, Then just keep managing the family. Adelia was a bit surprised by his words. But, support my activities on a family level, Ju Hyuk continued with a sinister smile. Don't ask me for reasons. He didn't forget to add a warning. The moment you screw up again, you know what will happen, right? Seeing his signal, Barbarian immediately confirmed, Please rest assured, master. I will personally make sure something like that never happens again. Good, Ju Hyuk said, satisfied. Suddenly, Barbarian's form turned into golden light and began to fade. Master, I think it's time, she told him. Huh? Where are you going? Ju Hyuk asked, still confused. This place.
A place where constellations can directly manifest usually requires a large amount of mana, she explained. Really? Ju-hyuk exclaimed, stunned. Yes, she explained carefully. You would need dozens of mana-filled stones. Ju-hyuk now understood. So that's why these people brought a bunch of mana stones with them. Barbarian grew fainter. Because that mana is disappearing, and because I've also used my skill, I'll need to rest for a bit, she told him. Even if you're a constellation, you still face these kinds of limitations, huh? Ju-hyuk said, a bit surprised. But it's true, Barbarian said, slowly taking off her mask. She smiled brightly. To be able to personally witness Master's rebirth like this is good enough. What about you? Ju-hyuk replied cheerfully. Get some rest. Barbarian put her mask back on. Before I go, she said. Master, I have one last thing to tell you. Ju-hyuk grunted. Besides me, she reminded him, it seems there are other disciples who have also become constellations. You will meet him soon. Now please excuse me, I'll be going first. With that, Barbarian completely vanished, as if she had never been there. Her words made Ju-hyuk think. My other disciples have become constellations too? I had a hunch, but who could it be? Could it be that all my disciples became constellations? But I'll meet him soon? I've already personally met 2 constellations, that annoying bastard Baich and Barbarian. At that moment, he had many questions he couldn't answer. The encounter with Baich was unavoidable, thanks to the notification window. The encounter with Barbarian was completely random. Plus, there's a large number of constellations now. Meeting them one by one doesn't make any sense. Just then, Ju-hyuk remembered Baich. By the way, Baich hasn't said anything since we met the guide. Did you call me, Master? Baich immediately spoke up. What the? Ju-hyuk said, annoyed. What were you doing this time? Not saying a word? I was organizing my thoughts, Baich quickly explained. My memory was cut off the moment you entered the secret room. Memory cut off? Ju-hyuk wondered. Yes, Baich recounted. In my memory, it felt like you stepped right back out as soon as you entered that room, and although it was just a little, my memory has started to return. Do you remember what a weak and fragile being you were? Ju-hyuk teased him. How could I remember such trivial memories? Baich said, flustered. I've learned the concept of a name, which you should know by now. And... Baich suddenly hesitated, piquing Ju-hyuk's curiosity. And the Maze Lord. That's the one who gave me the name Baich. They had reached the classroom while thinking. Ju-hyuk quickly sat down. He was deep in thought. So, the one who stole your true identity and gave you the identity of Baich was also the Maze Lord? No, Baich corrected him. He both gave me power and killed me. With the power of the Master of the Tower of Destruction, that's only natural. Did that power affect your personality? Ju-hyuk asked. When I was the Master of the Tower, I was a bit rigid, Baich explained. It was probably because of the influence of the identity and power I received, but my current personality is quite similar to my original one. How can that guy just grant or take away identities like that? Ju-hyuk said, annoyed. I don't know exactly how he does it either, Baich admitted. Shh, Ju-hyuk clicked his tongue. This world is a labyrinth large enough for that guy to exploit identities. That's why he can give and take identities from others at will. What do you mean, this world is a labyrinth? Baich asked, not understanding. You idiot! Ju-hyuk snapped. How could you not know such an important piece of information? And so the master and disciple talked for the rest of the class. So that's how it is. Baich finally understood everything. Yes, Ju-hyuk agreed. I'm furious too. But right now we're just fish being raised in his pond. His eyes filled with determination. But since the guide said we might have a chance to fight back, let's wait for our chance. The next day, just as promised, the guide came to wait for him. What the? Ju-hyuk exclaimed, looking bewildered. He still had his tray, without a single item on it. He stood up straight and looked at the guide, who was curiously pointing at his tray. What is that shiny silver thing? She asked. It's a food tray,
A food tray! Ju Hyuk yelled in a rage. You did say we'd meet again in 2 days, but why did you have to call me in the middle of lunch? My apologies, the guide said hastily. I should have been more considerate. Whatever, Ju Hyuk said, sitting down. Did you bring the ring? The guide asked. Ju Hyuk took out the ring to confirm. Very good, the guide said with a satisfied smile. Now we're going to use it. It doesn't seem like an item that boosts my stats, Ju Hyuk said, puzzled. How are you going to counter him with this? It's simple, the guide replied with a faint smile. Put on that ring and clear a labyrinth. A labyrinth? Ju Hyuk asked, shocked. Any labyrinth? He asked her again, suspicious. Initially, only a few labyrinths were natural, and all the others are monitored, right? Of course, the guide replied nonchalantly. You can clear any labyrinth. Soon the Maze Lord will create labyrinths himself. She thought for a moment to find the right word. What is it called in your world? Ah. She emphasized 2 words that made Ju Hyuk explode in surprise. Cataclysm. A cataclysm, Ju Hyuk thought, his face grim. When a labyrinth begins to form, monsters will pour out, and the surrounding areas will be devastated. Before I was reincarnated, they were everywhere. That's why there was no safe place back then. After I was reincarnated, everything calmed down, and I was able to enjoy life a little. So where and when will it appear? He asked her. And what will the scale be? In about 3 months, the guide answered quickly. The scale is still being determined. It is said it will happen in a country called Korea. Unbelievable, Ju Hyuk said, dissatisfied. I live in Korea, but if you don't tell me the exact location, how can I stop it? My apologies, the guide clarified. To prevent the Maze Lord from finding me, I can only share limited information with you. Really? Ju Hyuk replied with a smirk. He asked another question. This world was a labyrinth from the very beginning. How can another labyrinth appear within it? The Maze Lord deliberately created it. The guide smiled. Is he preparing to create another identity? Ju Hyuk asked, annoyed. Yes, he has likely already decided, she confirmed. Then she revealed something else. Should I say he's making people adapt before the Tower of Destruction appears? So I have to wear this ring and destroy the labyrinth that appears when the cataclysm occurs? Ju Hyuk asked about the ring's purpose. Yes, she confirmed immediately. To be precise, how did you usually destroy labyrinths before? Her question took Ju Hyuk by surprise. Huh? He recounted his usual method. The monsters in the labyrinth are quite difficult to deal with, so I usually ignore them and destroy the labyrinth core stone. If you do that, the labyrinth automatically disappears. Normally, that's the fastest way, the guide reminded him. But this time, you can't do that. Then what should I do? He asked, puzzled. The guide pointed at him. Wear that ring and defeat the boss. Why do I have to do that? Ju Hyuk asked, not understanding. There's a reason, she explained. Although your world is just a labyrinth, the Maze Lord cannot randomly create a cataclysm or a tower of destruction. He must use the power of the identities he has acquired. Simply put, the labyrinths are made from identities. She paused, then continued. Among the components of a labyrinth created this way, the power of the identity is most concentrated in the boss. If you wear that ring and defeat the boss, you can absorb the identity from the Maze Lord. That will be the starting point of our counterattack. Hearing this, Ju Hyuk suddenly spoke up. I have a question. That guy has absorbed countless identities, right? How can we fight back by absorbing just one? A good question, she praised him. She slowly explained. Of course, the Maze Lord won't mind if only one identity disappears. His purpose, as I said, is to help people adapt before the Tower of Destruction appears, right? Normally, instead of stealing an identity, the key to this plan is to destroy the labyrinth quickly. Then, the Maze Lord will realize that the labyrinths are disappearing before people can adapt and will change his strategy. He will create an event by sending many identities to the world. And this will be our chance to absorb many of them, because the identities we absorb will also give us more power. After listening intently, Ju Hyuk grew curious. Absorbing identities and turning them into power. Let me ask you something. His expression suddenly turned serious. How are we any different from the Maze Lord, then? The guide was surprised by his question. That's unexpected. I thought you were the type of person who wouldn't care about such things. Who do you think I am? Ju Hyuk replied without hesitation. I only feel comfortable doing what's right. First of all, the guide reassured him, we will never harm innocent people to obtain an identity. And if your identity is taken by the Maze Lord, that identity will be shackled, preventing you from reincarnating or becoming a constellation. You will be imprisoned. Furthermore, if you use the power of the identities you absorb, when their identities are no longer shackled, they will also be set free. Despite this, she still told him, but if you still feel uneasy, you can do as you please. You will also know what kind of person the owner of an identity was before you absorb it. Ju Hyuk had no more objections, his face filled with anticipation. All right. Now we just need to wait for the cataclysm to happen, right? Right, the guide reminded him. I'll tell you the exact location and time later. Until then, you should create a team to stop the cataclysm. Don't I just need to defeat the boss and destroy the labyrinth? Ju Hyuk asked, not understanding. Although the monsters in the labyrinth will die when the labyrinth is destroyed. She explained carefully. The monsters that have already escaped will still be out there. Shouldn't we stop them? See you later. With a snap of her fingers, Ju Hyuk was instantly transported right in front of the food counter. What? The chef jumped, startled by his sudden appearance. That damn guide, Ju Hyuk cursed internally. I told her to warn me before teleporting. He then thought about her reminder. She told me to form a team, right? Shh. It's true that I went with my disciples to handle cataclysms before I was reincarnated. Doing it alone would take a lot of time, and I also need to prevent damage. As he walked and thought, he suddenly bumped into someone. So, should I take on disciples in this life too? It was a familiar face. Yeonrang. Yeonrang stood with her arms crossed, a confident smile on her face as she waited for him. What is it? Why are you here? Ju Hyuk asked. After losing to you, I did some reflecting, Yeonrang explained immediately. I wondered why I lost to you. She held up a finger. And I figured it out, she said excitedly. It's because you're stronger than me that I lost. What? Ju Hyuk said, deadpan. It took you that long to figure out something so obvious? You know what? Yeonrang suddenly declared. I thought I was quite similar to you. Huh? Ju Hyuk's face was full of disdain. Someone who can overwhelm everyone with just their talent and has never tasted defeat, she explained. That's quite rare even in adults. If you think I'm like that, then your perception is completely wrong, Ju Hyuk countered. I consider myself a hard worker. But I've rethought that. So what I just said was my previous thought, but not anymore. She analyzed Ju Hyuk's techniques carefully. The moves that hit me weren't just simple attacks. They were body movements that came from countless experiences. From that moment, I realized my own shortcomings. I was furious when I lost, but after I calmed down, the reason I lost became clear. I lacked a lot of practical combat experience. She clenched her fist and declared, and then I realized that by experiencing combat with you, I also became stronger. She made her request. So I want to keep fighting you. Yeonrang pointed excitedly at Ju Hyuk. To defeat you. What? Ju Hyuk asked, surprised. Fight me. Yeonrang repeated her request. Ju Hyuk, feeling annoyed, tried to avoid it. Don't bother me with your strange logic. I'm leaving. What about our fight? Yeonrang said, grabbing his shoulder. Do you know I came all the way from China to fight you? That's not my problem, Ju Hyuk replied nonchalantly. Instead of doing this, why don't you spend your time properly training in your family's martial arts? I don't know them, Yeonrang suddenly shouted. Huh? Ju Hyuk said, surprised. I was formally taught until I was 6, she explained. After that, it was all self-taught, and then you defeated me in the year of the... I defeated you in the year before you took control of the contractors there, Ju Hyuk asked, puzzled. That's right, Yeonrang confirmed. From the beginning, those contractors didn't like me much.
I was a loner. They kept excluding me from the family's regular training sessions, so I told them to send people for me to practice with so my skills wouldn't get rusty. But then they suddenly started throwing adult contractors at me. So I kept winning. Luckily, there weren't many of them. Ju Hyuk felt something was off. Although what the White Lotus Society's leader said is similar to her story, the implications are completely different. He looked at Yeonrang, thinking, it's clear she has talent, and it seems true that she likes to fight. But the leader implied that she was someone who would defeat anyone she met. So, Ju Hyuk asked her, were you forced to lock yourself in the White Lotus Palace? It was partly voluntary, Yeonrang replied, a hint of loneliness in her voice. I stayed there because I was tired of being seen as the family's troublemaker. It doesn't matter anyway. I'm stronger than the adults there. She clenched her fist and shouted with determination. But that's okay! Yeonrang pointed at Ju Hyuk. Because I found someone much stronger than me. You. What's so good about that? Ju Hyuk said with a weary smile. Just by fighting you, I can get stronger without the family's teachings, right? Yeonrang said, instantly cheerful. Who's fighting who? Ju Hyuk replied, dissatisfied. Oh, why? Yeonrang pleaded, acting cute. Please do it for me. Ju Hyuk looked at her, confused. This is a bit strange. She's someone who was isolated by her family and locked up in the White Lotus Palace. So why did Seol Yoon want to bring her back? I don't know the full situation, but from the family's perspective, wouldn't it be better to leave Yeonrang in the White Lotus Palace? All right, let me go. Oh, are you going to fight me? Doing whatever we want in the middle of school is too conspicuous. I'm heading to the physical training room, so just follow me. Okay, I'll change and be right back. Wait for a bit. Yeah. Ju Hyuk, that girl you brought here, who is she? She's a crazy person I met at the White Lotus Society. She said she came all this way to fight me. No way, really? I was just planning to have a match with her. She came all the way from China? That look in her eyes? You want to fight too? Not yet, no. Huh? Based on her hair color, she could be a member of the family. Did she really come from China just to have a match with Kim Ju Hyuk? That's quite something. At the Valhalla Stadium. I'm sure only Yeonrang and I agreed to a match. Why are you all here? I'm keeping an eye on her to make sure she doesn't do anything strange. I'm just following Ajin, don't mind me. Seriously? I'm looking forward to this, Kim Ju Hyuk, but I'm much stronger than last time. Is that so? Then I'll fight with my full strength. Form a team to stop the cataclysm. Didn't you say you wanted to get stronger? That's right. Then if I win today, will you become my disciple? What? The reason I want to become stronger is to defeat you, you know? So that's how it is. After becoming my disciple, you can fulfill your wish. Let's begin. I hate having a master, so I have to win. You've gotten quite a bit stronger, you know. See? You just blocked my attack. But this time you won't be able to block it. What is this? What kind of mana? Does the White Lotus Society have this kind of monster? That's a huge amount of mana. The concentration is even higher than Kim Ju Hyuk's during the competition. I just need to land one hit, and it'll be a critical blow. Even if he blocks it, there will still be a strong shockwave thanks to the mana. The same stance? I like to fight head-on too. I've increased my mana concentration to this level, and I still got pushed back. I don't think Kim Ju Hyuk had this much mana, right? He's clearly stronger than before, but he's still the same person. I'll only face you head-on once. The second time, I'll block and counter. I still can't land a single solid hit. From now on, I have one more disciple. After the fight, Yeonrang was unconscious. A moment later, she suddenly opened her eyes. Yeonrang shot up, panting. Ju Hyuk was by her side, asking with concern, "You're awake?" She touched the wounds from the recent battle. They stung a little. "Damn it, I lost again." "You're pretty tough," Ju Hyuk praised her. "I thought you'd be out until tomorrow morning. I didn't expect you to wake up already." Hearing this, Yeonrang frowned. Is that a compliment or a jab?
He didn't answer and instead cheerfully invited her. "All right, no more nonsense. Be my disciple." "I was just about to suggest a duel with you, without using magic like last time." Yanrang agreed with him. "Even so, the result probably wouldn't change." "All right, fine. I will take you as my master." Yanrang pointed at herself happily. "Now I'm officially your first disciple, right?" "Probably not," Ju Hyuk mused. "What?" she said, a bit angry. "I'm not the first? Did you start recruiting disciples back in middle school or something?" It seemed that wasn't what Ju Hyuk meant. Suddenly, A-Jin interjected into their conversation. "Ju Hyuk is right." Her words made Yanrang very puzzled. "I was taught before you," A-Jin stated firmly. "So I'm Ju Hyuk's first disciple. Meow." However, unexpectedly, Ju Hyuk thought, she's not the first disciple either. But he decided not to say it. Whatever, it's too much trouble. Yanrang's face was full of anger. "Meow? Are you doing that on purpose? Trying to get a rise out of me or what?" A-Jin wasn't scared at all and replied, "Yes, I am. Are you mad?" Meow. The two looked like they were about to clash. "My name is Yanrang," Yanrang stated firmly. "Don't just give me weird nicknames." But A-Jin didn't seem to be listening. "What's wrong? Meow sounds so cute." Yanrang couldn't argue and blushed in embarrassment. "Who's cute? Do you want to die?"
"The name Meow is great," A-Jin replied with a calm face. "All right, you can go home now." Ju Hyuk had been watching the two of them argue this whole time. Yanrang's fists were clenched and trembling. "Why should I go? I haven't even learned anything yet." "You already know you're a cute little kitten, don't you?" A-Jin retorted. Ju Hyuk was still standing there. He was thinking about something. Looking at the two of them, he felt a bit of amusement. This scene, it feels strangely nostalgic. The scene he was talking about was Yanrang and A-Jin arguing. Ju Hyuk was happy. Even before I was reincarnated, watching my disciples was just like this. Then he stepped in to intervene. "Meow, stop it. Don't call me Meow," Yanrang snapped, turning to him. "The truth is, A-Jin became my disciple before you," Ju Hyuk explained. "Isn't she your senior? Don't be disrespectful to your senior sister." Hearing him say that, A-Jin turned to look at him, surprised. He continued, turning to A-Jin to lecture her. "You have a junior sister now, so show her some respect when you talk." But what A-Jin noticed was that she was the senior sister, so that means he's acknowledged me as his first disciple. Then she turned to tease Yanrang. "All right, then this senior sister will be patient." This made Yanrang tremble with anger. "No more joking around," Ju Hyuk said. "Let's just say we had a bit of a sparring session today. That's enough. Let's go home." "I may not have gotten hurt, but fine," Yanrang said, a bit annoyed but agreeing. She then asked, "By the way, where do I sleep?" "Huh?" Ju Hyuk said, confused. He asked, "You haven't found a place to stay yet?" "Not really," Yanrang explained. "I just came here suddenly because I wanted to fight you." She recalled, "When I asked Sol Yun how I could have a rematch with you, she just told me to go to Valhalla in Korea." "So you just came?" Ju Hyuk said, his head aching. "With no plan whatsoever?" He then arranged things. "The school gave me a room in the dorm. You can stay there for now." "Okay," Yanrang agreed happily. A-Jin, however, was surprised by his decision. She continued to tease Yanrang. "As expected, that's not your style, kitty." "What the hell? Do you really want to die?" she said, angry. "Stop it," Ju Hyuk quickly intervened, "before you both lose your strength." As evening fell, Ju Hyuk was walking home. He looked annoyed. So tiring. Because of Yanrang and A-Jin, I was busy all day. I couldn't even get anything decent done. He thought, well, what's done is done. It seems those two will definitely become my disciples. So June is currently focused on physical training. She still has a long way to go before she can learn swordsmanship. As for Kook, he's not interested at all and is training on his own. So for now, only those two can stop the cataclysm. As he thought this, his phone suddenly vibrated, catching his attention.
The screen showed an incoming call from Adelia. The moment Ju Hyuk answered, a voice came from the other end. Ju Hyuk, right? This is Adelia. She got straight to the point. The support fund you requested. In short, I'm about to finish processing the issues, including the support fund. So I wanted to inform you before we meet. I already checked the scholarship fund and the support fund this morning, he replied. Do you have any other questions? She asked. That thing. He immediately made a request. Post a recruitment notice for contractors. A Jin. Next month, a cataclysm will occur. Hearing this, Adelia's face was filled with alarm, as if she couldn't believe her ears. What? Where did you hear that from? You don't need to worry about that, Ju Hyuk replied as he walked. And I still don't know the scale, but something is about to happen. In Korea? Adelia asked, worried. She received his confirmation. That's right. Seemingly understanding, she agreed to Ju Hyuk's request. All right. I'll contact the capable contractors from Venchi and the guilds in Korea. Thank you. Please keep it a secret for me, he said. There's one more thing, she said, not finished. Ah, Mr. Ju Hyuk. What is it? He asked. She asked cautiously, when the Guardian constellation wakes up, could you put in a good word for me? Hearing this, Ju Hyuk thought for a moment. He then asked, She's still sleeping? Is she pretending not to see you? On her end, Adelia was looking at a screen and confirmed. Yes, I've tried to contact her, but there's no response. Ju Hyuk remembered her form and thought, she did mention she would rest for a while after using all her strength. I guess one day of rest wasn't enough. He then agreed with Adelia. All right, I'll tell her. Thank you, Adelia said, and the two ended their conversation there. The next day, after school at the Valhalla training room, inside Ju Hyuk was training, sweat pouring down him like rain. Ajin was also training like him. As for Yeonrang, she was panting heavily. It seemed it was her first time training and it was a bit too much for her. After a while, Ju Hyuk stopped training and sighed. He glanced to the side. Yeonrang was lying on the ground, panting. Her face was red from the heat. Let me breathe, Yeonrang said. I feel like I'm about to die. She yelled at the other two. I almost died. But you're still alive and kicking, Ju Hyuk replied. He gave a slight compliment. Anyway, you caught on faster than I thought. I thought you'd be out by the middle of the session. Of course, Yeonrang said confidently. I didn't come here to play. Her basic stamina must be pretty good, he thought cheerfully. But should I slow down a bit? Suddenly, a voice called out, Hey, you! He glanced over. Sojin walked up to him and asked, Is Yeonrang here? The girl with white hair and a serious expression was waiting for an answer from Ju Hyuk. Her sudden appearance made Ju Hyuk very puzzled. What's with this person? Why does her appearance look so similar to Yeonrang and Seolyun? After waiting a moment without an answer, Sojun glanced to the side. She walked over to face Yeonrang, who was sitting on the floor, and chided her, You came all this way without saying a word to your mother? But Yeonrang's face was filled with hatred as she called out the name, Seol Yeonhwa. At this point, Ju Hyuk spoke up. You're Yeonrang's mother? I thought that sorceress Seolyun was her mother. Hearing him, Sojun realized. So you're Ju Hyuk, the one who brought our Yeonrang here? The next second, her gaze was fixed on him as she properly introduced herself. My name is Seol Yeonhwa. I am the head of the Seol clan and currently Yeonrang's new mother. Seolyun, the head of the White Lotus Society, is my younger sister. Ju Hyuk recalled Seolyun and understood what she had meant. But this is a bit strange, Yeonhwa said, her gaze slightly lowered. Seolyun promised to contact me when Yeonrang left the palace, but she didn't. Instead, she sent Yeonrang here. Yeonrang's face was still full of resentment for the woman standing before her. Well, we'll ask for the reason later, Yeonhwa continued. Yeonrang, follow mother back to the White Lotus Palace. Yeonrang trembled with anger, her voice filled with grievance. In the past, whether I was neglected or shunned, you never cared. And now you're telling me I have to go back there? Get lost. And don't treat me like your daughter. It's disgusting. Yunrang, Yanhua tried to reason with her. Rejecting you back then was an order from the constellation. You know that, don't you? Yes, I heard it from a servant, not from your own mouth, Yanrang retorted defiantly. And that was only very recently. Nevertheless, Yanhua replied, you found out the truth. Furthermore, the constellation has instructed me to summon you this time. What? Yanrang asked, puzzled. This is your chance to be recognized by the constellation, Yanhua asserted. Don't embarrass Mother, Yanrang. You want me to go back right now? Yanrang said, stunned. So that's the reason you've been trying to drag me out all this time? That's right, Yanhua answered without hesitation. Her words were like 1,000 knives piercing Yanrang's heart. She stood there, trembling with rage. A second later she screamed, Get out! Which confused Yanhua. She stood protectively in front of Ajin and Ju-hyuk. There are students training here, so please leave and don't bother them. This is Valhalla, not the Seol clan or the White Lotus Society, so don't even think about causing trouble. Do you know why I came here alone, without any guards? Yanhua knew she couldn't persuade her daughter. Her eyes turned sharp. It's to take you away without being noticed. A blue magical force erupted from her hand, and she immediately shot a blast at Yanrang.
The blow sent her flying back, forcing her to use her feet to stop her momentum. Her arms, which she had crossed in front of her chest, were now glowing red. What are you doing? Yanrang demanded. Didn't I make myself clear? Yanhua said without hesitation. I will not go easy on you. Is that what this means? Yanrang's face was contorted in a scowl. Then I have no intention of holding back either. She then pushed off her back foot and charged forward. You remember, don't you? Yanrang thought angrily. Even when you challenged me last time, I still defeated you. At that moment, Yanrang was right in front of her. She leaped up, preparing to strike. Her fist shot straight towards Yanhua. Yanhua's expression showed no concern. As she blocked Yanrang's arm, she calmly replied, You've certainly gotten stronger, Yanrang. I guess you weren't just playing around in the White Lotus Palace. That's right, she confirmed. I trained hard because I didn't want to be left behind by you all in a place with nothing. Is that so? Yanhua said, still calmly trying to reason with her, even as Yanrang's fist rained down on her. You should return to the Seol clan and study properly. Then Yanhua swung her arm, sending Yanrang's entire body flying with it. What's with this woman? Yanrang thought, shocked by the sudden move. Her skills are this good? She slammed her feet hard onto the ground, then used the momentum to kick at her mother and wrench her arm free. Let go, she said, annoyed. Yanhua was pushed back a few steps. What a powerful attack, she praised. Shut up. Yanrang didn't stop, charging forward again. All I have to do is defeat you. Seeing the two of them fight, Ajin turned to Ju-hyuk. Should we call an instructor to stop them? The head of the Seol clan is causing a scene at Valhalla without any guards, trying to take her daughter away. What do you think will happen if we tell an instructor? Ju-hyuk asked her in return. It'll be chaos, Ajin replied without hesitation. I know, but I don't like that woman, Ju-hyuk said. That's right, Ajin agreed. She abandoned her daughter, and now she suddenly shows up to take her back because of some urgent need? Her gaze was fixed on Yanrang. Ajin watched Yanrang's furious attacks. She must be very disappointed. At that moment, Yanhua had ducked to avoid Yanrang's blow. She still tried to lecture her. Yanrang, stop this pointless tantrum and come back with me before you get hurt. Get hurt? Yanrang pushed off her back foot. That should be you, she said, kicking straight at her mother. Yanhua took the full force of the blow. She staggered backward, clutching a wound on her stomach. Seeing this, Yanrang finally showed a look of satisfaction. I used a lot of power in that kick. She'll still be injured even if she blocks it. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through Yanrang, making her cry out. She looked down and saw that one of her legs was frozen solid. This must be the first time you've seen this, Yanhua said, stepping forward. She displayed her power and explained, This is the power of our family's constellation, the king of the snowy abyss.
Although it's not immediate, once you return to the Seol clan, you will have the chance to train this ability through a contract with the constellation. I thought you were stronger than before, Yanrang said, starting to worry. Are you recklessly borrowing power from the constellation? What's reckless about it? Yanhua refuted her. This is a natural and common thing in the current world. If you're a member of a family with a guardian constellation, this is what you would naturally do. Surely you didn't delude yourself into thinking I fought you with just my physical abilities to meet your previous demand, did you? Yanrang was enraged by that. You've probably changed your mind, Yanhua said, giving her one last chance. So I'll ask you one last time. It was the same question, her hand extended towards Yanrang. Will you come back? For a moment she hesitated, but in the end, she still chose not to go. Seeing that she couldn't be persuaded, Yanhua sighed in frustration. You foolish child. Suddenly she dashed in front of Yanrang. Don't think you'll be returning in one piece. Damn it. Yanrang was now filled with anxiety. I can't even react. My right leg is frozen. I will freeze and shatter your right arm. Yanhua's hand reached out. And we'll think about that lost arm later, so that you'll never dare to challenge the family or the constellation again. Yanrang was startled. But before she could touch Yanrang, Ju Hyuk appeared with a fierce expression and kicked her arm away. His foot shot up, blocking her arm from touching Yanrang. Seeing him block for her, Yanrang called out, Ju Hyuk, what are you doing? He asked, his face furious. Are you really going to chop off your own daughter's arm? I am just disciplining her as a mother, Yanhua said, a little unnerved. I don't think this is your business. Is this kind of education trending these days? Ju Hyuk asked seriously. I feel like I've heard a similar line recently. He remembered what he'd been told before. This is my family's business. Don't interfere. Yanhua appeared calm on the outside, but her thoughts were racing. I've never heard of him before. How did he dodge that? And he's not frozen. The arm he kicked is still trembling. His counterattack hurt me. Could it be that the mana in his counterattack is stronger than mine? She looked at Ju Hyuk, who was radiating a powerful aura. Hey Jin, get Yanrang out of here, he ordered. Okay, she agreed. What is this, Ju Hyuk? Yanrang said, annoyed. I can fight too. Besides, this is my private matter. But your right leg can't feel anything, can it? He said, hitting a sore spot without being roundabout. He then comforted her. Before I can teach you anything, if my disciple gets hurt, should I, as a master, just stand by and watch? He then stepped forward and ordered, Step back. Hearing him say that, Yanrang was touched. This is my master. All right. Ajin looked at her, helpless. Yanhua channeled power into her hand. You're her master? She asked leisurely. Aren't you a high school student? Interesting, Ju Hyuk. I just wanted to take Yanrang away, but this has affected you. And you even act as if you're her teacher. I'm not affected at all, Ju Hyuk replied bluntly. We just share the same thoughts. A normal master-disciple relationship doesn't have that, she said, annoyed. Well then, let's see how capable this master is. The moment she finished speaking, she charged. Ju Hyuk also quickly balled his hand into a fist. Even though she has a cold exterior, she's just as aggressive as Yanrang, he thought. Yanhua was about to reach him. I hit her just now, Ju Hyuk calculated, but dealing with her will take quite a bit of mana. He decided, first, I'll try to dodge to the side and aim for her joints. Immediately after, he dodged to the side, avoiding her outstretched arm. Seeing her attack miss, she glanced over and then slashed horizontally at him. But with Ju Hyuk's agility, he ducked down, avoiding the attack. The equipment in the training room was pierced by shards of ice from Yanhua's magic. Everything was covered in ice. Ju Hyuk glanced at the aftermath of the attack. Damn it, he thought with concern. This attack didn't even hit the ground, and it still caused so much damage. It seems she can also shoot freezing ice. Impressive. A second later, he turned and reminded her, the physical equipment is school property. You broke it, so remember to compensate before you go back to China. Oh? She said, unafraid, her hand gathering mana again. If you win, I'll consider it. Then her hand shot straight at him. Ju Hyuk calmly calculated his next move. Dodging like this is useless. It will only let her shoot out more freezing ice, but if I block, even if it's just blocking these small damaging attacks, it will consume a lot of mana. He then pushed off his back foot. In that case, Ju Hyuk decided he would break her spell directly. His foot shot out and kicked her arm, making Manhua's face contort in pain. The mana in her hand had frozen the ceiling above. Damn it! The mana gathered in my hand, Manhua thought, annoyed. But before she could regain her composure, Ju Hyuk was right in front of her, which surprised her. Ju Hyuk then punched her straight on. His face showed a look of satisfaction. Unable to dodge in time, Manhua took the full force of the punch. She coughed up blood and cried out in pain. Then she was sent flying back, crying out in pain. Manhua looked up at Ju Hyuk's face, which was smiling with amusement. Over here, Rang was stunned by what she saw. He won. He overwhelmingly defeated someone who wields the power of a constellation. As for Ajin, she understood him well, so she didn't look surprised at all. Manhua struggled to get up. She had a word of praise for him. You fight well. I understand why Rang came here to find you and become your disciple, but even if I acknowledge you, I will still take her with me. Her words made Ju Hyuk freeze. What? I dare not disobey, Manhua said, because this is the will of our guardian constellation. Even if I fail, 1,000 people under the constellation's command will come to take her back. What's going on? Rang was now stunned, full of questions. My opinion doesn't matter? That's right, she confirmed. The will of the constellation is absolute. This is the purpose of our existence. Now, Rang was so desperate her whole body trembled. I have to fight my family again, even if I don't want to? Then she demanded, Stop it, that's enough, which surprised Ju Hyuk and Ajin. They looked over at her. He closed his eyes, his face showing his annoyance. He asked, How do I meet your constellation? Huh? Manhua said, surprised by the question. Didn't you say that because of the constellation's command, they won't stop coming here to capture Rang? Ju Hyuk said with a serious expression. Then I just have to defeat them, right? Hearing his words, Manhua was extremely shocked, as if she couldn't believe her ears. Defeat a constellation? Do you know what you're saying? She explained. The way for a human to face a constellation is when it appears at a sanctuary. But because this consumes a large amount of mana, it doesn't happen often. And since one person can harm our clan, we dare not deceive our constellation. You would cause a sanctification. There's still another way, he said without hesitation. The way Ju Hyuk mentioned was to touch the sacred relic and enter the mental world. She was surprised to hear that. Even though you have a hunter training organization, it seems you also know about contracts and sacred relics, right? It's just as you said. Manhua agreed with his idea. If you touch our family's sacred relic, you will get to meet the king of the snowy abyss. Manhua added a reminder. But unlike this world, where original power is suppressed, the mental world is the constellation's domain. Her eyes turned sharp, a warning. When a mortal enters, they will be crushed by the constellation's pressure. And you still want to fight it? But Ju Hyuk's intention remained unchanged. He wanted to meet the constellation. She slowly stood up, still clutching her wound. I understand, but I don't think you can do it right now. Letting an outsider touch the sacred relic is not something I can decide on my own. Manhua decided. Taking Rang back will be postponed for a week. Until then, no one will attack Rang or you, Ju Hyuk. He understood. Her face revealed a sinister look again. If you are defeated in the mental world and return here, what do you plan to do? After all, giving you the chance to meet the constellation unconditionally is a loss for us. Hearing that, even Rang had to show her annoyance. That's ridiculous. Ju Hyuk thought for a moment before answering. A second later, he stated firmly, Win or lose, the responsibility will be mine alone. If I win, you will not touch Rang for the rest of your life. I will take care of her as my disciple. Hearing that,
Yanrang blushed and looked at him shyly. "You're being too arrogant," Manhua said, but she agreed to the condition. "All right. I will return to the family today to prepare." After that, she left, leaving the three of them there. Ju-hyuk watched her go, a look of indignation on his face. Time passed. A week later, Ju-hyuk was surrounded by ice and snow. Before him was the constellation, sitting comfortably on its icy throne. Its face was emotionless as it looked down at Ju-hyuk. His own eyes were just as cold as he looked up. Back to a few days ago, at the Valhalla dormitory, the door was being opened by someone. It was Yeonrang and Ju-hyuk, slowly opening it. "It's open," he said, stepping in and turning on the lights. Ju-hyuk said Yeonrang could stay here. She agreed with his arrangement. Walking around, she praised it. "A dorm at this level? It looks like the house of a well-off family." Not believing her eyes, Yeonrang shyly turned to ask him, "I get to stay here alone?" "Originally, this was my high-class dorm room," Ju-hyuk explained. "But I asked to stay in another room, and they allowed it." "I see." Her face turned red, and she hesitated as if she wanted to say something. "Hey, Ju-hyuk," Yeonrang asked. "Why are you so nice to me?" Her question made him very puzzled. "Even with Ajin or the others, it was my family's business," she continued. "You could have just turned a blind eye." Yeonrang questioned Ju-hyuk. "Are you doing this because I'm really your disciple?" "That's part of it," he said, scratching his head. "To be honest, I don't like things like that. I hate those aggressive phrases that oppress people, like, 'My status is higher, so you must obey me.'" This reminded Yeonrang of her mother's image that afternoon. "So, did my meddling make you uncomfortable?" No. Yeonrang waved her hands, denying it. She shyly scratched her cheek. "It's just the first time someone has cared about me so much. I just wanted to thank you." Hearing that, he smiled, pleased. "If you train with me and find it painful and arduous, will this gratitude just vanish?" Ju-hyuk teased her. "Ah, but I have something to ask." "Go ahead," she said without hesitation. "Your family's constellation is the king of the deep mountain?" Ju-hyuk asked. "It's the king of the snowy abyss," she corrected him. "What's his personality like?" he asked. Yeonrang thought for a moment. "Looking at today's attack, he probably uses ice," she analyzed. "But I haven't been close to my family for a long time, so I'm not sure. But even if they use his power, I heard he doesn't interfere much with our family. So it seems some people in the clan don't even know which constellation he is." "Really?" Ju-hyuk asked, as if he couldn't believe his ears. He found it very strange. "And didn't he tell your family to bring you back?" Her expression was a little worried. "I know. There's probably no connection between me and a constellation. I'm not even protected by the constellation like the other members of the clan. In short, I don't know any of the details." "In that case, I'll hold on to this and hear the story later," he decided. Ju-hyuk prepared to leave. "You rest up. Wait for your family to arrive, because tomorrow you'll have to be my guide." "Okay," Yeonrang replied. He closed the door as he left the room. Yeonrang stood inside, still looking in the direction he had gone. Then she thought of something and blushed, her hands clenching with determination. In Ju-hyuk's room in the Valhalla dormitory, he was sitting on a chair, on the phone with someone. The other end picked up. "Adelia here. What is it?" He got straight to the point. "I need to ask you something. I just fought with the head of the Seal clan." "What?" Adelia said, shocked. "Why?" she asked, worried. "She came to take her daughter back and we had a fight," he explained. "Meaning their daughter is at Valhalla?" Adelia asked. "The thing is, because of that incident, the school's physical training equipment was damaged. Can you handle it for me?" Ju-hyuk requested. "I probably can," Adelia replied. "It's just a matter of quickly replacing the new equipment." "All right, I'll leave it to you then." "I understand," she said. "Do you need anything else?" "I have one more question. Do you know anything about the Seal clan's constellation? It's the king of the snowy abyss, right?" "I heard he doesn't meddle in the family's affairs." Adelia told him what she knew. "The Seal clan itself is also very secretive,
so I don't know much more." The information she gave was the same as what Rang had said. "I see." He suddenly changed the subject. "By the way, has my disciple woken up yet?" "Not yet," Adelia replied. Still no response from her. "I see," he said, calculating in his head. "This constellation is very cunning, but at this rate, I'm guessing the Seol clan and the constellation don't even know each other's faces." Suddenly, Adelia blushed and stammered. "Or, Juhyuk, you—" "What is it?" he asked, puzzled. "Could you check on the condition of your disciple constellation and tell me something good, quickly?" she proposed. He smirked. "You're speaking quite comfortably these days, aren't you? Well then, I'm hanging up." "Wait, I'm sorry," she said hastily. On his end, Juhyuk hung up and wondered to himself, why doesn't anyone know anything about that guy? Suddenly, Baich appeared. "That doesn't sound like you at all," he said. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Normally, no matter who the opponent is, you just fight them, right?" he reminded him. "That's true," Juhyuk agreed. He rotated his arm and added, "But even though I've gotten stronger, my power still can't compare to before I was reincarnated. Isn't it stupid to just charge in without knowing the enemy's strength?" "Is that so? And I heard that the mental realm is a person's private space where they can unleash their power." "Wait a minute." Juhyuk suddenly realized something. Then why is Baich so weak in the mental realm? Moreover, with Baich's power, his abilities should be as strong as other constellations. "If you want to fight in the mental realm," Baich offered Juhyuk some advice, "I can reveal a few secrets to you." He grunted, confused. "The key point is that strength in the mental realm has nothing to do with physical strength," Baich stated. "Huh? Then what is it?" Juhyuk asked, very surprised. "You can use your power based on your physical body," Baich explained. "That's just physical strength, isn't it? Are you kidding me?" Juhyuk gritted his teeth in anger.
"A normal person would see it that way, whether inside or outside the mental realm," Baich said calmly. "But you are not a normal person. Remember that." Hearing this, he thought for a moment. A second later, his expression relaxed into a knowing smile. "I think I get the gist of what you're saying." His eyes suddenly became determined. "I just need to do one thing," he resolved. "Go to the temple and defeat the constellation." Time passed. A week later, in China, at the residence of the Seol clan, a large and magnificent building. At this time, Rang had led Juhyuk to Manhua. Beside her, 2 rows of people stood, lined up to welcome them. Manhua stepped forward to greet him. "You came. I thought you would run away." "I'm not that irresponsible," Juhyuk replied cheerfully. "Am I allowed to touch the sacred relic now?" "Follow me," she said, her expression haughty. Juhyuk placed a hand on Rang's shoulder to reassure her. "I'll be back." "Okay," she replied, trusting him. Then Rang watched as Juhyuk followed Manhua into the room in front of them. They approached a closed door. A second later, Manhua threw it open, and Juhyuk followed her inside. The room was filled with the chill of ice and snow. "What is this? What is this room?" he asked, looking around, puzzled. Suddenly, Manhua thrust her hand into the snow as if to retrieve something. She lifted up a box that was buried under the snow. As she opened it, she explained, "After returning to the Seol clan, I wondered, what if the constellation loses to you?" She turned to look at him and continued, "Then I thought, why not make him a servant for our family?" Inside the box was a pair of gloves. They were radiating magical power. "Whatever you want to do is fine," Juhyuk said, reaching out impatiently. "Give me the gloves." "Here," Manhua said, holding up the gloves in front of him. Then he grabbed the gloves from her hand. A second later, he appeared before the king of the snowy abyss, who was sitting comfortably on his throne. "Who are you?" he asked, puzzled. "You state your name, and I'll state mine," Juhyuk replied with a provocative smile. Hocheon looked at Juhyuk for a long time, as if he was calculating something. "This guy isn't one of my disciples," Juhyuk thought to himself. "But he looks so familiar. Have I met him somewhere before?" "Who are you?" he asked Juhyuk.
A second later, Ho-chan clenched his fist, causing shards of ice to shatter and scatter. It's quite interesting to have someone dare to threaten the Seoul clan. It seems you know me, Ju-hyuk smiled. So, what should I call you? If you're still alive after this attack, then we'll talk, Ho-chan said, gathering his magic to prepare an attack. According to my observation, it's a long-range attack, Ju-hyuk said, showing no fear and instead looking triumphant. Then, shards of ice like arrows shot quickly toward Ju-hyuk. The force of their impact created loud crashes, sending snow flying everywhere. The space became silent. Ho-chan was still sitting above, observing. Suddenly, he noticed something. After the attack, Ju-hyuk was completely unharmed, standing defiantly before him. The ice shards from before were stuck in the ground right between his feet. You dodged it? Ho-chan said with amusement. Unexpected. He recalled Ju-hyuk's dodging motion. That last attack couldn't be dodged with a simple jump. You must have used magic to jump further, right? At this point, Ho-chan stood up. All right. It seems you're not just some small fry. He formally introduced himself. I was going to tell you my esteemed name, but I've been stuck here for so long that I've forgotten my own name. So I'll tell you my title. Outside, they call me the King of the Snowy Abyss. Ho-chan walked down step by step, and the snowstorm blew with him, forcing Ju-hyuk to shield his face with his hand. What's this? A sudden snowstorm? But those who worship me call me Ho-chan, Ho-chan said coldly. His eyes turned sharp. While those who fear me call me the Snow Demon. He was now standing opposite Ju-hyuk. Combining these two nicknames. Ho-chan held out his hand, displaying his power, making his presence even more imposing. I am called Ho-chan. Is that so? And I am Ju-hyuk. Ju-hyuk clenched his fist and introduced himself in return. Ju-hyuk. Ho-chan's expression was calm. All right. I will remember that name. As he finished speaking, his hand moved up as if he was commanding something. Then, around Ju-hyuk on both sides, shards of ice, one by one, rose up from the white snow. Ju-hyuk looked around, assessing the situation. He's blocking my escape route with these ice pillars, he thought. Then Ho-chan charged in front of Ju-hyuk, preparing to punch him. He threw a very fast and powerful punch forward. The ice pillars followed, shooting towards where Ju-hyuk was standing. Ju-hyuk was a bit stunned. Ice pillars? Blocking this with my bare hands would hurt a lot. In the end, he decided to draw his sword. Ho-chan seemed to recognize the sword. That sword is... Before he could think further, Ju-hyuk had stabbed his sword down at the approaching ice pillars, shattering them. The two of them continued to fight head-on. Ho-chan used the mana from his palm to block the ice pillars that Ju-hyuk had thrown back at him. You're using my own ice pillars against me? He asked, his eyes filled with disbelief. How ridiculous, Ho-chan explained. All the ice and snow in this place are under my control. Is that so? Ju-hyuk then charged forward with an amused smile. He then swung his sword up from below with a cunning expression, but Ho-chan had blocked the attack with his bare hand. So, you used the ice pillars to distract me and then approach me? He deliberately taunted. The idea is good, but you're still too weak. Really? His expression was mocking. You say I'm weak? Ho-chan's trembling hand was blocking the sword, which made him a little unnerved. Without waiting further, Ju-hyuk's other hand was gathering mana. Well then, he said with amusement. Try this on for size and see if I'm still weak. His fist quickly shot out and punched Ho-chan straight in the chest, making him cry out in pain. Then he poured his mana into his fist, making it stronger. One of his punches sent Ho-chan flying. The punch made him slam into the ice pillar behind him that he had erected earlier. It's probably been a while since you've taken a punch like that, huh? He teased with amusement. Ho-chan was clutching his wound, his face contorted. He realized the attack was filled with magic. And that sword. Finally, he understood. You're a martial god, aren't you? Ju-hyuk stood there majestically. He smiled. Well, it's just a title my disciples gave me.
But you're right. The martial god, Ju Hyuk, Ho-cheon calculated in his head. Although I don't know much about him, I witnessed his power with my own eyes 300 years ago. He recalled the scene of majestic mountains shrouded in a dark sky. About 300 years ago, I was once attacked by a horde of monsters. Although I did everything I could, it was a whole army of monsters that I couldn't handle on my own. Just as I was about to go down with them, the martial god suddenly appeared. I was about to ask why he had appeared and was standing in front of the monsters, and just as he swung that pitch-black sword, all my questions were replaced with astonishment. Back in the present, Ho-cheon stared at Ju Hyuk. The magic just now, although his appearance is very different, it's definitely him. You're not coming forward? Ju Hyuk asked with amusement at this point. Then I'll attack. All right, martial god, Ho-cheon replied. I've also wanted a proper fight with you for a long time. He slowly stood up. I will fight you, he declared, displaying his power, with all my strength. At this time, in the guest room, Yeonrang was sitting there, her expression pensive and a little worried. A second later, her eyes sharpened. Outside, a line of people stood guard. Cold gazes were fixed on Yeonrang. This is why, she comforted herself. This is why I didn't want to come to the Seol clan. Yeonrang suddenly understood Ju Hyuk's words from the previous night. Then you should rest when you get to the Seol clan, because you'll have to be my guide when I arrive. If it weren't for Ju Hyuk's request. As she thought this, something outside suddenly caught her attention. 2 girls appeared before her. Yeonrang, the other one called softly. They were the eldest daughter of the Seol clan, Seol Sirim, and the second daughter, Seol Boni. Yeonrang returned to her serious expression. What? Want to fight? No, Boni replied timidly. I heard you left the White Lotus Palace, so I came to see you. Even if we did fight, it doesn't mean we could defeat you, Sirim added. If you just came to see me, you can stand outside like those shady people behind the door. Yeonrang pointed at the door. Hearing themselves mentioned, the people outside the door jumped. I feel like there's been a bit of a misunderstanding, so I want to apologize, Sirim said, scratching her head awkwardly. Apologizing in person is better, right? Apologize? Yeonrang asked, confused. You know, Boni said, flustered. Because you had to go to the White Lotus Palace after our match, we never really had time to talk. So I want to talk to you now, even though it's late. I know it's late, but about us isolating you. I'm sorry. What? Yeonrang said, extremely annoyed. After all this time, you came just to say that? You can say whatever you want? Because you're scared that I'm here? Being yelled at by Yeonrang, she started to cry. Wait a minute. Sirim quickly comforted Boni. I know we look like we're just apologizing for the sake of it, but we had no other choice. We tried to see you, but every time our mother stopped us. This information surprised Yeonrang. She grunted. Not only that, Sirim continued, even removing you from training was her order. What? Yeonrang was stunned. She asked again. You isolated me not because you were jealous? I always thought that. To be honest, you're right that we were jealous, Boni explained. But we were more proud than jealous, because it's good for the Seol clan to have someone so strong. Hearing this, Yeonrang was silent and pensive. While we were thinking that, Sirim also continued, Mother called us and said, From now on, don't let Yeonrang participate in training. Sirim added, She said that you, Yeonrang, would be a threat to us in the fight for the position of the next clan head. That even if she, the clan head, was backing us, all the other elders would choose you. Yeonrang sat there, listening silently. After that, Sirim recalled, whether we wanted to or not, we had no choice but to agree with Mother and work with everyone in the family to isolate you. But she was wrong about one thing. Both Boni and I have no interest in the position of clan head. Not only are we not interested, Sirim explained. To be precise, we shouldn't be interested. What does that mean? Yeonrang slowly stood up, puzzled.
Suddenly, the door was pulled open by a woman. "About that," she said. "I'll tell you." The appearance of that person surprised all three people in the room. The scene shifts to a place where a snowstorm is blowing fiercely. Hoshion was preparing for his attack. Behind him, shards of ice were floating in the air. His arm then lowered as if giving an order. The ice pillars shot down at where Ju Hyuk was standing, forcing him to run to dodge. Ju Hyuk's feet pushed off the ground hard. Then he charged quickly at Hoshin. He didn't hesitate to clench his fist, creating a block of ice with a spiky appearance. A second later, that block of ice created sharp ice blades around it. The tips of those blades shot toward Ju Hyuk, forcing him to retreat. Immediately, Ju Hyuk swung his sword, shattering the ice. "What is this? So annoying," he said, annoyed. Then he charged forward quickly with his sword in hand and a look of amusement on his face. "Are you trying to distract me with these weak little attacks?" "A big attack?" Ho-chan inquired. "I see." As he finished speaking, an ice figure appeared right in front of Ju Hyuk. A hexagonal ice block was radiating a brilliant light. Then the ice block exploded, sending rocks and debris flying everywhere. After that attack, Ju Hyuk had to retreat far away to avoid it. "You have a skill like that too?" "I'm surprised," he praised. "I was going to freeze you completely, but I let you escape with just a little bit of snow on you," Ho-chan replied lightly. "As expected of the martial god, Ju Hyuk." "Don't spit out such untrustworthy praise." Ju Hyuk waved his hand dismissively on his end. "You're embarrassing me." He looked at him and thought to himself, but this guy is a bit different. If he was this strong in my past life, there's no way I wouldn't remember him clearly. Ju Hyuk's eyes seemed to see through everything. This guy must have been training here. He has made great strides in his ice techniques. This must be the reason why he's stronger than in my previous life. "Interesting," he sighed. "If only I had met you sooner, it would have been better." "What do you mean?" Ho-chan asked, gathering mana in his hand. "I'm praising your strength," Ju Hyuk said with amusement, drawing his sword from its sheath. "Is that so?" he said, laughing contemptuously. His foot then landed on the ground. "Instead of just being satisfied with your praise." Ho-chan's arm was now completely frozen. That arm grew larger and larger, radiating a terrifying power. Ho-chan was determined to surpass Ju Hyuk, and then brought his arm back to gain momentum, preparing to throw a very powerful punch. On his end, Ju Hyuk also swung his sword back, preparing to fight. In a flash, the two of them passed each other. "Forget about surpassing you," Ho-chan sneered. Then he collapsed. The ice arm also shattered. "I'm not even close to your level." On his end, Ju Hyuk glanced at him and smiled triumphantly. The gloves, the family's sacred relic, were floating in the air, radiating a cold aura. After the fight, Ju Hyuk reappeared from the gloves. Manhua was still standing there, observing him. Seeing him come out, she thought to herself, "It took longer than I thought. It's true that Ju Hyuk used that strange magic, so maybe the constellation was deliberately toying with him." But her eyes widened as she noticed something different. Manhua observed Ju Hyuk from head to toe. "What is this?" she thought, confused. Although only his consciousness should be damaged in the mental realm, he looks completely unharmed. Then she called out, "Ju Hyuk!" "Ah, yes?" he replied cheerfully, turning his face. This startled her. "I've defeated your constellation," Ju Hyuk continued. "What?" Manhua asked, not believing him. Her face showed clear anxiety. "What nonsense are you talking about?" But before she could finish, the system window appeared, announcing, "The King of the Snowy Abyss expresses his respect for Ju Hyuk." Looking at the system window, she couldn't believe her eyes. "What?" She looked at Ju Hyuk, who was smiling happily in front of her. This guy really defeated the constellation? Feeling scared, Manhua gradually backed away. "Impossible. The guardian constellation of the Seol clan can't lose to a high school student." The more she backed away, the more Ju Hyuk advanced. "If you don't believe me, you can ask the constellation yourself," he taunted. His hand rested on her shoulder, a reminder. "Ah, before that, you said that if I won, You wouldn't bother Yonrang anymore, right? Ju-hyuk's face turned fierce and threatening. That condition, I think we need to change it a little. A long while later, Ju-hyuk pushed open the door to the room where Yonrang was sitting inside. Let's go, he called out. Seeing 3 more people in the room, he asked, What are you all gathered here for? I didn't expect to see you again, Ju-hyuk, Seol-yun greeted him. I never thought you'd come here. Aren't you Seol-yun, the head of the White Lotus Society? He replied calmly. I thought you weren't here. Nearby, Yonrang asked Ju-hyuk, Are you done? Yes, he replied leisurely. I'll tell you on the way. His eyes glanced at the people standing outside the door from the beginning. There are too many ears and eyes here. Then the 2 of them left in the late afternoon. You came back so quickly. You must have lost, right? Yonrang started the conversation. Hearing this, Ju-hyuk turned to her, surprised. It must have been tough for you, she asked with concern. Not being protected by the sacred power and facing the constellation alone. That's right, Ju-hyuk replied as he walked. What condition did she give if you lost? Yonrang asked, worried. I would have to become a slave of the Seol clan, he replied without hesitation. So that means from now on, you'll be serving the people of the Seol clan? She asked. Who knows? Ju-hyuk replied cheerfully, not looking sad at all. This is funny, he thought to himself. I wonder if I should tell her the truth. I should have stopped you, Yonrang said, full of self-blame. I heard everything from my older sister and aunt. Seol Yonhua is a crazy person, she recalled. She's willing to bet her own life to win the position of clan head. From a young age, she's always aimed for that position. So my aunt, Seol Yun, advised her to give up her ambition. Yonrang added, but after becoming the clan head, her ambition became even more bottomless. She wants to hold that position for the rest of her life. She remembered herself as a child. While being wary of the elders, she also saw her own children as obstacles threatening her position. That's why she monitored us so closely, to prevent anything from happening. She was wary of my talent, so she used the clan members and my sisters to isolate me from everyone. Not only that, for some reason, even the family's guardian constellation had the same thought. Hearing this, Ju-hyuk wanted to say something to her. It's ironic, isn't it? Yonrang said, a little sad. I never intended to become the head of this family in the first place. Is that so? Ju-hyuk just smiled. He explained, Actually, I was going to let your imagination run a little wild, but it seems there's no end to it, so I have to say it. I won against your constellation. This information surprised her. Huh? Yonrang stammered. Are you kidding? I don't joke about things like that, he said with certainty. Ju-hyuk added, This mess started because that constellation summoned you after you left the White Lotus Palace, right? Yes, she replied. But that's not quite right, he refuted her. According to what you said, it seems that constellation has no interest in ruling this family, so I asked him myself. As he finished speaking, he remembered the moment when Ho-chan was lying unconscious on the snow. Ju-hyuk had punched him, causing him to wake up in pain. You're not going to die anyway, so get up. I want to ask you something, he had said. What is it? He had stammered. I heard you called Yonrang back to the family. Why? He had started to explain. That's right, Ho-chan had replied. The current head of the Seol clan, the main one, asked me to do it. She said her youngest daughter needed the protection of my sacred power, so she thought the girl would listen to me, a constellation with power in the family, so I ordered her to call the girl back. That's it? Ju-hyuk had asked, surprised. I thought you were the one who abandoned Yonrang before. This is the first I've heard of it, he had said, looking wronged. Until now, I just learned that the youngest daughter of the clan head is named Yonrang. Huh? Is that so? He had asked, a little surprised. This made Ho-chan confused. A cunning smile appeared on his face. So you were also used by the clan head. Hearing the story, Yonrang couldn't believe it. What? So you mean? She deceived everyone around her, he explained clearly, saying meaningless things that confused people.
The clan head used the constellation for her own purposes to achieve her goals. Yeonrang trembled with anger. "Seol Yeonhwa," she growled. She deceived the Seol clan and the constellation just for her own benefit? And she ruined my life to be the clan head forever? How disgusting. So I told that constellation to cancel the contract. Ju Hyuk comforted her. "What contract?" Yeonrang asked, puzzled. "The contract between him and the clan head," he replied immediately. Seol Yoon was also quite suspicious of Ju Hyuk's abilities.